What is
Hi,
this?
everyone.
Episode 5? Episode
Uh,
5, I think, or
yeah.
6? I don't know. Whatever.
I
Welcome to What
forgot to
Katy
count. So.
Draws. Episode whatever. It says it on the thumbnail, so if anybody clicks it, they'll see it. They'll know. But
Yeah.
yeah, thanks to everybody who has joined us thus far. Oh, John Westhoff's here. Yeah. I don't. Oh, wait, no, it's this one, right? I don't know. I always do this, and it's not the same. The devil horns. Anyway, thanks for joining us. And Fish is here,
Hey, Fish.
waiting for the.
I was kind of gonna just do the Vulcan hands just because I can. So that's not the right one, though.
Always a strong choice. No, it is.
Yeah.
So.
Have we got
Excellent.
any UHS news at the moment?
Nothing from me. We're working on some more new books and stuff, so exciting.
Oh, and Finding D has shipped now, hasn't it? So
Yeah,
I'm
that
looking
is
forward
true,
to getting
yeah.
that.
Finding D has shipped. You probably would have heard about that on Monday if we would have had a show on Monday.
Those damn internets.
Thing. It was a whole thing. The entire like 200-mile radius around us all went out. I don't know where it originated from, but yeah, like, so then everybody jumped onto their phones, which made the phone service come, and then so like I couldn't even use my phone to stream to do a very shoddy. I couldn't do it because it was bad. It was bad. And so we just finally gave up and we're like, forget it. But yeah, those are things that we might have said if we would have been on stream on Monday like usual. Good times. Good times.
Yeah.
So what are we working on today?
So today I'm gonna carry on working with on Core that I started on the last episode. I have actually been sneakily working on it a little bit when I've not been on air. Because, I know it's shocking. But not much, but just a little bit.
Rude. Well, anyway, I guess let's have a look at the screen then.
Yeah, so...
Yeah,
this is
half-naked men.
The reference pictures are from the reference packs that I bought on ArtStation by a guy called Satine Zilla. I'll try and remember to put the link
I think we have a banner.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, just because credit where credit's due. So yeah,
Absolutely.
Both of the reference pictures I'm using today are by that person. So
yeah, artstation.com/satinezilla, SATINEZ or ZILLAH. But
Yeah,
it's
some
also
really good-
spelled out in the ticker down there. So
yeah, some really good reference packs from that one. So but I do have I bought the license to use them. So this was the stage that I left court last week. So it's literally the same thing. This is that's where I wasn't quite happy with it. So what I did was I went in and played with my favorite tool, which Clip Studio Paint has now, which is the Liquify tool, which is what people used to mess around with photos on Photoshop, but it's really good for messing around with stuff if you've drawn it and it's not quite right. So this is what I changed it to, because I thought his expression needed to be a bit more dynamic, and I changed him around a bit more. So he's got a few more teeth showing. I still can't decide whether to do the mask thing that he wears, or just to have his face like that.
he's most of the situations I've seen him in so far, he's had the mask on, but also it is just a mask. It's not his actual face, so there's that too.
Yeah, although I believe Fish says he doesn't take it off very much, but
That's fair.
Yeah.
The chibi that I drew has the mask on, and I thought that would be easier, but it was not.
Yeah, it's the angles. So I decided, because there's obviously a princess in this, I decided to draw in a princess. However, I don't know how big she is in comparison to Core, so I'm gonna have to ask Fish that. But yeah, so that's my
he does take his mask off a lot in the first issue, so I guess we'll find that out.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, I can draw it or not if but that's. I am not great at drawing women, so this is what this picture in the top corner is like a reference with the hairstyle.
I am not great at drawing women, she says as she pulls out a fully fledged sketch of a woman that looks exactly like a real woman.
Well, yeah. I mean, she didn't. She looked. Her face was a little bit masculine until I actually started playing around with it in Liquify. I just always draw really masculine looking women. I don't know why.
Aren't we all
I just
masculine looking?
Well,
hey, Fred.
I just find it quite difficult. I think it's just because like the feminine features are quite soft and there's nothing to actually like draw. But I'm getting there. We're getting better. I think her eyes are a bit too big, but yeah. So I might do a bit more to her later.
I think her eyes can be a little bit big. I mean, after all, this is all like her. He's got those massive, like, it's not humans, right? So they can be a little bit big.
I don't know if she's a human or not, but
they're humanoid. That's all that matters, humanoid. Right?
Yeah. So for now, I'm just gonna try and work on her hair. Just give a bit more of a hairstyle, like the one that Fish gave me a reference for. So I mean, it's not the same character, but the actual hairstyle is kind of similar. So
sure.
Yeah.
Fred says I've been meaning to tune into these since it's been a while, and this is still like the new period. Like we're still under 10 episodes with what Katy draws, so good time to join. And Katy's just doing fan art. We started out with a little bit of fun stuff. You did Cthulhu in an episode.
Yeah, I did Cthulhu.
And we did a dragon, and Kaw's been 2 episodes. I don't remember what else. Oh, metal. We did metal.
We did metal. We did lighting a bit as well, I think, did we?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
A bird. There was a bird in there. There was an owl, I think.
Yeah, that was in the lighting episode.
Oh,
I think.
Well, shit. Well, whatever. This is like I said, it's under 10 episodes, so it's still considered basically the beginning, right? So
yeah, I mean,
fine.
We're still kind of finding our feet a bit, because just seeing what people that want me to draw, and I mean, I'm quite happy to do the challenges and stuff, but I thought, seeing as I started this and I kind of left it a bit unfinished last week, we can work on it a bit more.
Well, you have to finish it because it cannot go into Caw the Cro-Magnon fan art pages if you don't finish it, right?
Well, it may end up in the second volume rather than the first, because you know what I'm like. But
well, yeah, Fish said in his show yesterday that he's all filled up. Like, he's gotten a lot of fan art.
Yeah.
I drew one, but I didn't. I just drew one because everybody else was drawing one, and then I was like, I want to do it now. So that's why I did it. I didn't do it specifically so that anybody would put it anywhere. But I haven't actually posted it. I've shown a couple people, but I haven't actually posted it. I'll have to do that when I'm done with the show.
Yeah, you should post it.
Show y'all what the hell I'm talking about. It's not as good as Katy's, but like it's a totally different style, so I'm not even sure that you can make that comparison.
It's very cute. That's very cute.
It's a chibi. So I mean, I got my iPad here. I can show you.
Feel free to show it if you want. I think it's really cute. So.
Yeah, I'll just do this. I'm not ambitious enough to try and connect it to the stream and put it up on the. Oh, I did. I made him a little. I started making a little. I did like his logo, but in my style.
Oh, I'll put your screen up at the moment. I can't. It's a bit small. Oh, we've lost Sarah. I don't know what happened there. Oh.
I've got to do something about this fucking button, man. This button on the side of my mouse, and every time I bonk it, it sends me back to the page before. Ugh. Stupid thing. Yeah. There he is.
He's so cute. Look at him.
Yeah, I'll have to post him on the real, like post him on the real thing. What the fuck?
The real thing.
What am I even talking about? I'll have to post him on probably Facebook, and that way you can look at him like for reals, and not just a shitty screen of a screen.
But yeah, you should definitely post him. This is kind of the reference picture I'm working on.
Yeah, I made like his logo in my style so that I could I just, hand drew it because I'm a nerd and that's the kind of shit that I do for my fun. And so I should finish that and then post them. So I'll do that.
I apologize if there's some weird, gross licking sound. Spot has just had a bath and he's trying to clean his legs off. So
I don't hear anything now, but now that's all I'm going to be listening for.
he stopped now. He just was like licking his legs because he's finished rolling around on my bed with his towel. So he dries off quite fast.
A lot of chibi characters over the years. They're always fun, and they are. That's kind of the only thing that I draw anymore. Is like I draw cutesy little bullshit. And actually, technically,
you're good at them though.
Technically, I think that Kaw might be the first. Thank you. But Kaw might be the first like official chibi fan art that I've done, because all the other ones that I've done recently have all been UHS characters, which I'm UHS too, so I don't think that's fan art. There, it's official merchandise is actually what it ends up being, because we don't sell them, we include them as like reward stuff, stickers and stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely on. It's
not fan art. So yeah, Kaw is my first fan art.
I technically have done fan art a few times before. I did a drawing of Geralt from The Witcher, which have I ever shown people that one? I can't remember if I did.
I mean, maybe you've shown me, but you've shown me a lot of things over there, so I'm not sure if I remember that one. Good luck finding it.
Yeah, good luck finding it, because I'll just see if briefly it's in the two places. Oh, there it is. Surprisingly. Yeah, I'll show people my Geralt fan art, because it's Geralt from the game, not from the TV series. There we go.
Yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
extremely good.
Yeah, I actually prefer game Geralt, but that's because I played the game first. So
yeah, it's always.
And it's just.
Yeah. And I mean, as irritated as I was that they cast Henry Cavill for it, because it wasn't so much of a hatred for him as it was for come on, it's a TV show, let somebody else have it. He's already a mega uber star. He doesn't need more.
But he's done a good job of it, though.
Yes, he did. I have. I'll be honest, I haven't watched. I'm not caught up. But yeah, I think that what he's done of it, very good.
Yeah. I think it's just the sort of writing that was letting things down rather than his acting. But
they're doing another season, right? Because he pulled out of. He's not going to be Geralt anymore, right?
No, I think he pulled out for reasons of what they were doing to the plot. So, from what
yes, everybody was all of course, when it was announced that he wouldn't be Geralt anymore, everybody went wild with their reasons why, right? And
yeah,
it's it ended up because everybody was like, oh, he's gonna be Superman again, and then James Gunn had to come out and say, like, no, nobody fucking said that. Nobody said that. What are you talking about?
Yeah, there's gonna be some there's probably been some thing going on behind the scenes there, but
well, that's they always say, like, that's the easy one, is like, due to behind the scenes stuff, they whenever they don't want to say the real reason, that's what they say. Disagreements behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think that eye's still too low down. I just like, playing with stuff a bit with this liquify brush, just very subtly moving stuff around, because only trouble is I've only drew this about this afternoon, so just before the stream started, so I still haven't. I'm still in the stage where I'm not quite seeing the flaws at the moment, so because you kind of get blind to things when you're working on them all
Absolutely.
at once, and I'm not I don't draw a lot of people, so I'm getting more practice in it. I've started a life drawing class again now, which is fun.
Oh, cool. Yeah. You showed some sketches to us, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I think her nose looks a little weird, but I think her eyes look fine.
It's the angle of the nose. Yeah.
Something is just like, but it's not bad. It's just a little weird because I'm scrutinizing the hell out of it.
Oh, I scrutinize the hell out of it all the time. But...
if I wasn't watching you do it, I don't think that I would, like, up close like this too. I don't think that I'd even notice.
Yeah, I mean, I may not get it done for the actual, in the time that we do this streaming session, but I think she's getting a bit better now. It's all just a case of just like pushing bits around until it looks right. So, especially as I find, like I said, I find women really hard to draw. I don't know why. Always have done. Well, I suppose it could be because I'm not the sort of conventionally like feminine looking person, so it's like maybe I'm just not used to seeing that sort of face in the mirror.
I don't know if I'm becoming just more radical as I get older, but I find that statement to make less and less sense as I get older, because it's like, what the fuck even is conventionally feminine? What is that?
Well, what society deems it to be, I suppose. Which, to be fair, is just like slathering with makeup.
When it comes to that, we need to burn that shit down, because makeup is too fucking expensive, you guys. Y'all talk about how much you want us to be made up, or how like we're lying if we make ourselves up, and then it's like, but at the end of the day, this little bullshit bottle of nothing, this is like a $6 bottle, and that's the cheap stuff, okay? This is the Wet n Wild cheap garbage, okay? And
I just react to it all anyway, so because like I'm allergic to everything, so just about.
Yeah, and that's another thing. It's fine because you find something, you think it's great, and yeah, it's I just got an email from it's been weeks since I asked about how many, because I with the pandemic and everything, a bunch of cons canceled, and this con I'm going to at the end of May, I emailed them and I was like, I know you got me on your list because you were canceled for so many years, but do I have one table or do I have 2 tables? And how many do I need to pay for? And it took her 2 weeks to respond and say, the one person responded and was like, yeah, you have 2 tables. And I'm like, okay, I'll pay you for 2 tables. And this was 2 weeks ago, I think now. And she just sent me an email saying, actually, your tables are paid for. Don't pay for them. And I was like, thank God for ADHD, because I was going to pay them. And then I forgot. That's the only reason.
Oh, I just remembered I have to pay for a stall that I'm doing in August, I think. Yeah. It's fine.
It's so far away. As somebody who doesn't have to do the show, that's so far away. But August is screaming up on me as somebody who does have a show in August too.
Well, it's for selling wool, so because I spin, I do a lot of hand spinning. I think she's looking better now. It's a bit more like it.
I mean, I thought she looked fine before too, but like, I can see what you were doing, and it looks great.
I like smooshing the faces around until it looks right. It's probably considered cheating, but I don't care.
Oh, Fred said it's cash or creative at the end of the day movie, which I think was in regards to the Witcher chat about Henry Cavill leaving Witcher.
Yeah.
Which, ain't it? Excuse me.
Besides, it's not realistic compared to the game, because you don't get the horse randomly standing on the roof, or him like, let's play Gwent at every single situation.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, that's how I played it.
If it was really game accurate, then there would be glitches. And
and he would be challenging everybody to playing Gwent, which is basically what I did. It's like, screw finding Siri, I'm just challenging everyone to play this damn card game.
Confession time. Have not played The Witcher, and I hate it. I've watched other people play. I hate that I haven't played it because I want to play it.
It's really good. Yeah. I mean, you might be able to play. I don't know how good your PC is, but you might be able to play the original too. Which
I should be able to play. Well, I don't think that I could play like brand new games on Steam, but I think most of the older games I can do. Like, it runs Skyrim, or it runs.
Oh
Skyrim
yeah, if it runs Skyrim, you'll definitely run The Witcher.
It does not run Skyrim, that remastered super fancy one. It does not do that. But it does run Skyrim.
The original Witcher was way worse than Skyrim for like graphics and stuff. So
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. I got messages from Laurie all this morning because I was trying to have to explain this game that I gave her because it's from 1995 and there is no explanation at all about how to play the damn thing. So she's like, "What do I do?"
What the hell was she should have saved it for her stream so that we could watch her be frustrated all together, because that's fucking funny as shit, man. What is she doing? Oh, you're not supposed to learn how you play it before.
The learning curve for this game is quite steep because it's like really, really old, and
I meant to check and see if I got that one because I forgot to do that after we were talking about it. I'm gonna do that right now.
Oh no, it was Magic Carpet. I got her to play, which is
not the one that we
I don't think you've got that one. It was the other one was Dungeon Keeper, so but Dungeon Keeper is also quite a lot of fun because you get to slap the little minions to make them work faster.
Oh, Steam's updating. I hope this doesn't mess up the stream.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, it seems like it's fine. Well, as long as it doesn't, like, it won't kick you off because we're not running off of a client on my computer, so it's okay. But
yeah, I think her chin needs to be slightly lower down. There's still something I'm not quite happy with at the moment, but yeah, smooshy face time.
Smooshy face.
Spot, stop biting it. He's not very pleased with me. Like, I had the audacity to give him a bath, and then I was stroking the Hazel, who's a different dog, and he actually got off the bed and just looked at me like betrayal. Because, how dare I?
Rude.
Then, yeah, I mean, it's totally dog abuse, just, giving him a bath and
basically
not paying attention to him. Yeah, so. Okay, I think that's a bit better. I'm not entirely sure what costume Fish wants on her. I know he doesn't want her, like, completely nude. So I suppose I could have something similar to what this character here is wearing. I expect he's probably driving at the moment, so he might not be able to answer that question.
Could be, yeah. We'll ask him later. It's fine.
Yeah. Of course, he might actually show up because I gave him the link, but
good.
Just depends if he's okay today.
Yeah. If he wants to come, he is absolutely welcome.
Yeah. So I'm actually doing a stall on Saturday for my prints. It's for most of my wildlife art, basically.
Oh, cool.
But my prints and my cards and stuff. So I went to actually go out and get some stuff from my framers for the stall today. So there was a pop sound then.
Oh, well, look who's here. Speak of the devil.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey,
how are my favorite people this beautiful Wednesday afternoon?
I don't know. Who are they?
Well, let's see. Man, this looks cool. It's so much more interesting getting to see it than listening to it over the radio of my car on the way home.
Who'd have thought,
Yeah, it's amazing. An art stream with pictures. Who'd have thought it?
Yes, I mean, sometimes I listen to yours when I'm going, if I'm driving anywhere, because it's a bit of a...
Several people do. Several people like...
It is. It's fun to listen to, but then you're like, I want to comment, and you gotta pull over to comment. That doesn't work. I mean... Yeah,
I surely was not doing voice to text in the car with my phone as I was driving, because I wouldn't do that because it's unsafe on back roads at high speed when you're trying to get home, so you can hop on your friend's live stream, and it's inconsiderate. There's chickens out there. I could have hit something and had dinner.
Well, I had to stop the car today to catch a lamb, like a really young, couple of days old lamb that was for some reason in the middle of the road. So,
well, yeah, of course.
I just had to like stick my hazards on. It's like because his mother was running up and down the fence, getting really upset about it. So I was like, oh god! And they're quite fast as well, even when they're babies. And I'm not fast, but it tried to get through the fence and got his head stuck. So I managed to get hold of it and like shove it, like find a bit where the fence wasn't right and push it through again. But that's just what happens when you live in the countryside.
She put it into the field with the lions, but that's okay. It's fine. It'll be fine.
There's no, I don't think there's any lions in Scotland, but you never know.
You never know, man. People do crazy stuff, man. You didn't know people had tiger zoos off in Oklahoma until COVID. We all had nothing else to watch.
You know
I still
how
haven't
knew
watched
about
that
guy is he ran for president in 2016, and
really.
He did, and he, like, I mean, seriously, he should have gotten so much more press than Donald Trump did, because that guy, well, y'all know now, that guy is just balls out insane. And he absolutely should have gotten more press, because he was really entertaining to watch.
Admittedly, Trump took the balls out insane vote, pretty handily.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Early on.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
they didn't want to split their base, really.
I mean, just so we're clear, I would have voted for the Tiger King guy way sooner than I would have voted for Trump. He would, it's just stuff and things.
Well, there's always one sort of crazy party to vote for, isn't there?
Oh man, there's always more people running for president than you realize, because like when I worked at the sign shop, every year we would have some random local dude, every time an election came in, there would be some random local dude going for some big crazy election that there's no chance he was going to win. Always for president, there'd be like 5 guys come in to get magnetics on the side of their truck that are like, Jeff Leroy for president, and drive around town thinking that that's a legitimate campaign. And like, I don't know if they're doing it to try and hide money or something, or if they're just legitimately crazy, but every time an election comes around, every city I've ever worked in, these guys pop out of the woodwork and, start wanting signs made.
Interesting.
We had the monster raving loony party in the UK.
Well, that sounds like that needs my vote.
The person wearing the trash can knight person that was always running for something too.
I mean, I don't know all of them because I just don't really pay attention.
Fun ones though.
Yeah, but so Fish, is she the right proportions? Does she need to be bigger, smaller?
Yeah, she looks great. I mean, he's bigger than her, but he's not like, waist high above her. Like, she's.
I can't quite figure out how tall she'd be.
Relative, I mean, she's a average size lady. She's not super short, but she's not super tall either. So, and he's not incredibly tall. He's just incredibly bulky. Oh, I had a comment that I couldn't type in because I was doing particularly curvy backroads at the time when y'all were talking about faces and whatnot. And a funny little tidbit, all the most beautiful female faces that I ever drew throughout high school were all directly drawn off of me by a mirror sitting in front of my table. All I had to do was just soften that jawline just a hair and change the hair, take the little chin beard off, and the most beautiful ladies I've ever drawn. And it was, it was a little embarrassing at the time, but now I look back and I'm like, you know what? I was pretty, and that's okay. I'm not hung up about it.
I had a friend who, it always made me laugh that every guy that she ever fancied was just her, but male.
That's nice.
I could just predict it. It's like, he looks a bit like her. She'd fancy him. Funny fact, though, if I ever put in that what celebrity do you look like things, have you seen them that you put in your photo and it comes up with a celebrity that matches your features a little bit? I always get Oscar Wilde.
Oh yeah.
And actually, I do look quite a lot like Oscar Wilde. It's really weird.
I mean, I was just sitting here trying to think through like British celebrities stuff, and like I only know a handful. I don't know. My first
I only listened to a handful
my
as
first
well.
thought was the dude off of the freaking car show. Big
Oh,
tall dude.
Jeremy
Yeah.
Clarkson.
The big tall dude.
Yeah, Clarkson.
It's the long thin face like I have. Like that's what reminds me of like a familiar resemblance, like you were talking about with the girl. It actually kind of creeped me out when I met my wife, because the more we started dating and the more time we spent with each other, the more I realized she kind of reminded me of my family. Like she, kind of looked like my sister a little bit, a little different, and like she's got the same like bumps on her arms that I do. And for a minute there, I was like, okay, let's make sure that this isn't some cross branch of the family tree here that I don't know about before we go too far.
Isn't there in Iceland there's like a software that you actually can find out if you're related to people, because like there's a lot of people are like related to each other over there, but the weird apparently the most hits it gets is like Monday mornings. So...
Oh no!
I just need to make sure about last night, for reasons, just to be sure. I don't want Grandma mad at me. Oh, it's funny.
Love to go to Iceland.
I was friends with my best friend Gumby after high school. Like we were friends for years before we found out we were cousins, and I was just randomly helping him and his dad move one day, and his grandparents came to help move. And grandparents are always like, well, who are you related to? What's your family? How you spell that? Yeah. And so I was like, well, I'm related to so-and-so, and I'm related to the Wallers. And they're like, oh, well, do you know Dan Waller? And I was like, my Uncle Dan? Yeah. I was like, oh, well, he's married to my sister. And lo and behold, we were very distant cousins, which was incredibly funny because there was three of us that hung out all the time, and all of a sudden we're cousins, and he's not. I want to be related. Like, dude, you got to be born in the family, man. Sorry. He's still better.
It's not relation, not blood relatives, but Jeffrey and I, when we met, we started talking, and then I told him where I was from, and he's like, really? Whereabouts? I said, I'm from Bloomington, and I don't know if anybody's been, just so we're clear, I don't live there anymore, so you can't, like, dox me or anything. I'm doxing myself. But Bloomington, Wisconsin, it is a village of less than 1,000 people. It is a tiny little wide spot in the road. So he goes, Bloomington, Wisconsin? Like, what part of Bloomington? I was like, what do you mean, what part of Bloomington? Like, it's like the whole thing is just like
this side of the street or that side of the street?
Yeah, like, you mean like,
Be specific, woman.
and he's like, well, I'm just asking because my mom lives there. And I'm like, the fuck? Turns out his mom used to live, like, my old house and her old house, like, we lived like 2 blocks apart. And we knew each other already. Like, I knew his, and I grew up, like, I had met his mom many times. And I grew up next to his stepdad. Like, our family's farms, like, the land was connected. So he would come by all the time to talk about whatever, fences or some shit, like what farmers talk about. And so, like, I knew his mom longer than I knew him. And I knew his stepdad longer than any of them knew him. So it was just super weird. Like, what? But I still do like to bust his chops a little about what part of Bloomington. Like, there's like I said, there's like 700 people in that town. Like, what do you mean, what part of Bloomington?
See, I was my mum was planting some trees somewhere, and this little kid comes over, and we moved like 400 miles from where we used to live. It's it's quite a long way from Scotland to Yorkshire. But this little lad comes over and it's like, oh, you're from Yorkshire. My daddy was from Yorkshire. And she says, oh, what part was he from? And he says this town, and she's like, I used to live there. And when in her previous marriage, his dad was one of her farm workers.
Wow.
I know.
And this little boy was her illegitimate son. She never knew. It's your mother.
I think it would be difficult for her not to know about it, but
that's my favorite bit of all time. Is anytime. And it's been in several like goofy movies, where like, the ex-lovers get together and the guy has a kid like, and you're his mother. I freaking love that so much. Oh my God, it's so ridiculous.
Oh, actually, that reminds me though. One of my in my Dungeons and Dragons group, we all had to roll for like characteristics and stuff, and one of them, she has a child that she doesn't know about. So,
my ex, his uncle, super rude guy, met me for the first time. My ex introduced me to him. And his first thing wasn't nice to meet you or hi or anything like that. It was, well, how many kids do you got? Which I was like, and this is like, I feel so good that I was able to do this because I said none, but I have gotten really drunk sometimes. And I was like, because there's no fucking way that makes sense. And I was just like, I am so proud of myself for that. And nobody got it. Nobody got it. They were just stone-faced, like, who doesn't get drunk? And I was like, do you understand how fucking drunk I would have to be for how long I would have to be that drunk? That's poisoning. That's death. Because they were just, like, totally disregarding the mechanics of a woman having a baby. It's just so... I loved it. Nobody...
I have had some pretty wild weekends. Who knows what happened? Yeah, that didn't happen in a weekend.
9 months straight of crazy nights. I just thought I was getting fat. Turns out.
Even some women do fight. Like, I don't understand how.
I've known far too many ladies that have like been in labor before they realized they were pregnant.
Yeah, I've heard of that. That's wild.
And like, I mean, all the way from like skinny little girls in like late junior high, all the way up to like big fat ladies that like when my ex-wife got pregnant, even at 9 months, you couldn't really tell she looked any different than she did before. Like, it's like she could have done it and thought it was terrible indigestion for 9 months or something. Like, I mean, it could have happened. But like, I saw the girl that I knew in high school that ended up having a friend of mine, an acquaintance of mine's kid. Like, I saw her 2 weeks before walking around town wearing a mini skirt, had no idea she was pregnant. I mean, maybe like had put on 15 pounds, maybe, but didn't look pregnant. And then she didn't feel good for school one day and went into labor on the commode and ended up having a baby about that big. And
that'd be so jarring. It's just like, I think I have really bad cramps today, and then
nope, that's a baby.
Got a baby. Oh my gosh, that would be so horrifying.
Oh man, yeah.
I mean, like, nothing against the baby. It's just like that would be a very traumatic experience. It's not the baby's fault.
Oh yeah, and we don't realize just how much like uneducation there is around sex ed and stuff for so many people. Like, there are so many young people that really don't know what's going on or have incredibly misplaced information and, think doing these ridiculous things are going to prevent pregnancy, or think you can do this, this, and this, and you won't ever get pregnant, or if you do it on this day or whatever nonsense, and just don't know. Like, that's what really messes me up because, man.
I mean, I am stunned by the number of people that I still meet in this day and age that believe that a woman can only get pregnant one day a month. Like, yeah. that is not how that works, my dudes.
Mm-hmm.
There's like
this character is giving me some Michelle Pfeiffer vibes right now. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe the angle of the cheek or something. It's a little Michelle Pfeiffer though.
Has a fairly square jaw too, which, like, Michelle Pfeiffer had that angular jaw.
I am really face blind, so I'd have to look at a picture of it because I can't remember what she looks like.
She is a very attractive woman with big eyes.
But there again, like, I was just having this conversation with a friend about beauty. It's so freaking subjective. And, what we say is so beautiful on this person, I have seen the exact same thing on other people that you would swear up and down are ugly. The models walking the catwalk would be getting teased at school for being too skinny and bony, and like. But it's cool here if we put cameras on it, but it's not cool over here. And it's beautiful, and the feminine mystique over here, and over here she looks too butch, and it blows my mind. It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It's such a moving target, and it's nuts. It gets me riled up, because I guess it's one of the things about being on the autism spectrum very early on. I realized that the general standard of, oh, she is beautiful and everybody else is not, was absolutely ridiculous. And, like Cindy Crawford is gorgeous, but just about anybody else, you stick that mole on their face and you're going to say, oh, she got a mole on her face. Like, it's ridiculous. It's so arbitrary.
Sarah Jessica Parker is a very polarizing beauty standard too. Like, some people think she's horribly ugly. I find that there are times when I'll look at her and go, oh, she looks like she had a very bad night's sleep, and then sometimes she's just gorgeous, and she's I have no idea how I feel about her looks, honestly. But like, I can always pick out something in like every person that I meet, just walking down the street, like every person that I meet, I can see immediately there are parts of their face that make their face pretty, and like, maybe don't worry about it.
And that's the thing that I've enjoyed, is since I realized real early it was BS, it was easy to see the beauty in just about everybody. I mean, like, some people have some unfortunate conditions and stuff that make life harder, but like, still I see the loveliness in most people, and it just, the fact that we act so weird about it and act like there's set standards to it. But so many of these set standards that we say, oh, this is beautiful in a woman, is actually like the things that are more masculine, like hard edged jaws and sharp, cheekbones and things like, oh, that makes her beautiful because of all these hard edges. But when did hard edges become the thing that is the description of what makes a woman beautiful? Because, when I'm thinking of ladies, it's not the hard edges I'm thinking about. And,
Katy, do you remember? I don't know if it was a thing it's still kind of a thing for certain parts of England and the UK, but in the 90s, when we were all like, you had to have your eyebrows pencil thin, and some women actually destroyed their eyebrows by tweezing, and they can't grow them back now at all.
Oh yeah, they've got.
Mine has just always been shitty like this one, but like now we're like Brooke Shields. It has amazing eyebrows, and Cara Delevingne has amazing eyebrows. It's like, do you have any idea how much shame they would have had piled on top of them 20 years ago if they had their those little caterpillars on their heads? I mean, Brooke Shields has been continuously getting either mocked or praised for her eyebrows.
Oh yeah, I mean, how dare women have natural eyebrows?
That's ridiculous.
How dare women have hair anywhere that they're not supposed to have hair, according to insert man here, doesn't matter.
Yeah, anywhere that a man has decided they're not supposed to have hair, not like, I don't know, their creator or their parents or genetics. Like, no, it was put there by mistake. It doesn't.
What was that character? The redhead, something Dawn video game character, and she had peach fuzz, and there were men who were like, why does she have a beard? And it's like, have you ever, like, okay, tell me that you've never been close to a woman without telling me that you've never been close to a woman. It's if you think peach fuzz doesn't exist on all women, and if you think peach fuzz is a beard, I can tell you've never been within 10 feet of a woman. Because we all have it. It's right here. Yeah, it's right here.
Especially if you have polycystic ovaries.
Think of the most gorgeous woman that you have ever seen in your entire life. She has peach fuzz on her cheek. I guarantee it.
I've even seen posts where men don't realize that women have hair on their arms, like just hair
on their arms. Yeah,
yes.
Like just arm hair.
I saw a post about somebody must be transgender because they have hairy arms. I was like, are you fucking stupid? That has nothing to do with being transgender, you fucking idiot. God.
Oh, a dear friend of mine, like, she got a weird but beautiful mix of her parents' genetics and got her dad's very long body hair, but her mom's extremely bright white blonde hair, and so like her arm hair is almost invisible until it catches the light just right, and then it just glows like this golden vein on her arm.
Okay, I'm sorry, but that has got to be the coolest thing ever.
It is.
I hope
loved
that
it.
she loves it.
I know she probably was self-conscious in high school and stuff, but I think it's absolutely beautiful. But then I also have known a lot of ladies that like shave their arms because they're so self-conscious about hair that grows there naturally.
Yeah, our friend has Katy. You know Julie, right? Like she used to talk about how self-conscious she was, but she would call herself really hairy, but like it's not as bad as she was making it out to be. And like 15 years ago, I was like, yeah, that sucks. And now I'm just like, who fucking cares if you got hair on your arms? Who cares? It looks.
I guarantee you, there's
a
lot of people out there paying money for it. Like, I mean, there's somebody out there for everything. Man, I've
said this before, that what is happening with the women on media is really damaging to a lot of girls. I know people with body dysmorphia and stuff, because nothing we see on the internet is real. It's all been shaved, filled, plastered with makeup. Nobody looks like that. Nobody looks like that without makeup on. You get all these people that are like absolutely beautiful models and things, but they've still got cellulite. They've still got wrinkles. It's just naturally, and it really annoys me that it's like it's okay for men to age, but women aren't allowed to age.
And so many of them put themselves into such dangerous medical conditions just for that shot in that movie or that that layout in that magazine, and and like are passing out on set and stuff from being dehydrated and all this stuff. It's ridiculous, and then you go back to living your real life, but that's what they're putting out there is this is what she looks like every day. It's not what anybody looks like every day.
No, and it's the same with men as well. I mean, a lot of these like super ripped guys that you see on stuff are like dangerously dehydrated because that's the only way you'll get the muscles to show.
And starving and like
that Jason Momoa picture that was floating around, and people were like, "Oh, he got so fat." And it's like, are you fucking stupid?
He's alive.
You
is
really
what he is.
That his Aquaman body is is a sustainable model, because it is not.
No, and even with that coming out of the ocean Aquaman body, they've probably got a group of EMTs just off of camera in case he passes out and falls into water because he hasn't drank anything in 2 days and he hasn't ate in 3. Like, it's ridiculous.
You see, if you go to the Highland Games, which of course I live in Scotland, so you get Highland Games here where, tossing the caber and hammer throws and stuff. The guys who are in the heaviest, with the heaviest classes with the strongest, lifting the caber and, tossing the caber and all this heavy stuff, they do not look like that. They are big, beefy, fat guys.
Yeah, there's no muscle definition, and they look like they house a McDonald's every day, and it's like. Don't ever say that to their face. Don't try to insult them, because they will squish you like a bug.
Yeah.
And you will mean nothing to them. It's just like Terry Crews says to Jake Peralta. He's like, nah, it's like lifting a couple of grapes. See, you mean nothing to them.
That's the thing that I love. Working for clients, I get to do a weird variety of different types of books, and Roy Johnson at Setting the Standard in Comics. His books are all like throwback books with like public domain characters, and they're all set to look like they're in the 60s or the 80s. And going back to draw characters the way characters were drawn, like in the 60s and stuff, like seeing all the old how to draw Superman instructions from back in the day, it's like he's a big barrel-chested guy. And like, he's just a guy. Like, he's not ridiculously proportioned like he was in the 90s where, every single possible muscle is bulging out, to ridiculous proportions. Like, he's just a big dude. Like, looks like a lumberjack or something. Like, he's not ridiculously proportioned. And it's so much fun to draw those guys like that. And I enjoy it so much. It's a challenge, though, after years of drawing guys with these big, massive hands and tiny heads and bulging pecs and every single piece of their abs broke out into a section. Like, just drawing dudes is fun.
Take a second here to point out that through all of this completely non-art talk, Katy has just turned that scribble into a fucking face. Did you see
Just
that? Like,
made it
just
a
look at
person.
it. Holy
Yeah.
shit. That is like practically a photograph right now.
It's like watching a magic trick to me. It's just, I love it. It's a lot of fun.
And
Is
as
she
I
actually
watch her
blonde?
do
I
it,
didn't.
I'm
Yeah.
always like, oh, I could do this. This doesn't look that hard. And then I don't know if I zone out or what, but then I'm like, wait, what did you do that turned it into a bunch of smears of paint? From a bunch of smears of paint to just to an actual person in a picture. Like,
It's a lot of little tweaks over and over again.
so much.
I totally intended when I drew that first comic strip with that character in it, I totally envisioned her as like, you know, a bright platinum blonde when I drew it. And that's what's always been in my head. But then when I put an illustration of her in the letters page for the first issue of Kaw, because she's going to be in the book later on. So I just went ahead and stuck her in the letters page, you know, so I don't have to redraw the art.
Mm-hmm.
And I made her blonde. I was like, that just doesn't look right. So I ended up going with more of a mid-tone brown, but I might still change it. Like, I'm debating about shifting her whole color scheme, like more pink and orange, maybe to offset the blue of Kaw, or do I want to leave her totally human looking? I haven't quite decided for sure yet. I might still tweak it. So you got freedom to play.
I love this whole, like, the composition and the posing and stuff. It looks very much like a romance novel cover to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it.
I may change her lighting a bit, the lighting on her a bit later. I'm just kind of going with what the character is. But yeah, now she's making him look a bit rough, so I'm gonna have to carry on working on him as well. But would you like me to have him with his mask on or with it off?
I think it's fine with it off. And admittedly, yeah, the mask is kind of tricky with, you know, the beak sticking out and all of that stuff. And like I said, he spends most of the first issue, not to give too much away, but trying to get his mask back. And so this isn't off model at all. I think it looks cool.
Yeah. Okay.
I like the way that his face looks right now too, and you'll mess that up if you put his mask on. So
I tell you, it's tricky trying to figure out how to draw him when, like, so much of the stuff that I would use for, like, emotion is covered up. Like, so much of his eyebrows get covered up by the ridge of the mask, and his nose is covered up. So, like, crinkling it when he snarls doesn't matter because I still draw it under there so I can get stuff right, but it gets covered up in the end. I end up really having to depend on the eyelids to have a lot of emotion.
I mean, the eyelids do change a bit. I need to remember where I actually put it because I bought a anatomy for 3D sculptors sort of book. I think that's what it's called, and it shows you like what the anatomy is doing with all these different expressions and stuff, which I thought was really cool. But it's showing you what happens with the eye creases and things. It was quite a good investment, really. But I kind of wish I'd had it as a print copy rather than just a PDF, because it's nice to be able to look at stuff like that in an actual book. But it was, I didn't have the money at the time.
Oh man, the most expensive Kickstarter that I back is the How to Think When You Draw books. And he posts the like How to Think When You Draw stuff like on Instagram or whatever for free, but then he collects it into these books. But he's in the UK, so like these hardbound books end up becoming like $50 to get shipped over here.
Yeah.
And he puts out a new one every year, and I back it almost every year, usually as my birthday present to myself. And so I'm anxious to get the new one. And his style is slightly more cartoony. And the only one I have in here is the How to Think When You Write, because my son took all the other ones. Let's see if I can find his name in here, because I can't remember. He's, it's one of those... I don't know. I can't find his name on here, but
I'll have to look that one up.
His How to Think When You Draw books are amazing. He's got definitely a cartoonier style, like almost has like 70s Josie and the Pussycats kind of vibe to a lot of the stuff that he does. But it's really cool, and it's really encouraged me to sort of slide a little bit more over to the cartoony side. You can definitely see more of it in Caw than some of the other stuff I've done over the years. But the fun of being able to stretch things and get so much more expressive when you can stretch things around a little bit more than trying to be as strictly realistic as I tried to be a few years ago is so much fun. And being able to stretch shapes of the head a little bit more, and like Caw's gigantic, massive hands. Like, I could not have brought myself to do that 5 years ago, but now I freaking love it. It makes him more challenging to draw, but I love it, and it makes him a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting to learn about you, because I never would have guessed that would have been a difficult thing for you to do, to just exaggerate the proportions and get cartoony with it. I just assumed you could do whatever you wanted.
The thing is, excuse me, one of the pieces of art that had the biggest impact on me as an artist in like recent history was a digital comic I downloaded for free somewhere, and I can't remember the name of it to save my life, and I've lost the file, or I would be sharing this name out to everybody. But it was about these people that would die in horrible situations, and then like their spirit would manifest some kind of weapon that would be based off of their personality, and you would spend eternity fighting the kind of monsters that killed you, and they were going after werewolves and vampires and demons and stuff. And so it's a bunch of people getting drafted into this army that had no business being there, and there was this girl that was in love with this dude, and he clearly spelled out to her that, like, I want to say he loved his wife that was left behind, and he was never going to quit loving her. And over these 3 panels of her face, you just saw her heart break. And like, I wept at the expression shift over these 3 panels. It was so subtle. And the desire to try and capture that feeling has had a bigger impact on me than just about anything. Oh, the pollen is
shame that you can't remember what it is.
Oh man, and it was so good. The artwork was so amazing, and it was very realistic. And so that really pushed me into getting a lot more realistic for a long time, to try and better capture those feelings. Because at the time I could do laughing and snarling and stuff like that, but like, oh baby, the subtlety of like bedroom eyes and stuff, I had no idea what I was doing. And so I started studying a lot more real life to try and figure out how to capture that stuff. And my work became a lot more realistic over that time. And then in the process of becoming a full-time comic book artist and doing so much more stuff and learning to streamline stuff and seeing the benefit that some of the more cartoony guys had with their expressions, to be able to really get a lot more out of it, I started slowly veering that way a little bit. Like, I'm not gonna go all the way that direction, but you're never gonna see Kai's eyes like pop out and his tongue go wagga wagga. But like, it definitely makes it so much more fun when I can stretch it a little bit.
One of the things I found that when I was coloring Finding D is just how good, like, how expressive D's stuff is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I really would like to try and get into, and I'm trying to do it a bit more, but like when you do life drawing, they don't all tend to have the same expressions. So that's the benefit of getting these reference packs, like that I get, because I have quite a lot of them now. But every time there's a sale, it's like, oh, there's some new reference packs. But some of them are like expressions with different lighting on stuff, and I really need to just like find the time to go and work on practicing doing stuff like that.
Oh, I'm constantly like studying people when I go to the store and when we're out in town, and like looking for new little bits of facial clip art to stick into my brain. Like, oh, his chin does something weird. I'm going to take that. I'm going to hold on to that. And, oh, look at her earlobes. I'm taking that.
I find it it's really funny. I probably annoy my friends with it a lot. Like, look at this person. This person's got a really interesting face. Like taking photos off the TV just because they've got like cool hair that I've never seen before or stuff like that. And
my wife will look at me because sometimes I'll be like, their face is all wrong. And she's like, you can't just say that. But like, by the rules, like it's not right, but it's so interesting looking. And so like I'm jotting down all these notes in my face about like, his chin's only that big. Like that's not supposed to be that small. And like she's like, shut up. And I'm hoping I'm far enough away that they don't hear me say it, but dang, I get excited,
I know. I know exactly what you mean. It's like if someone's got a really interesting face that I'm like, oh, I've got to draw that. Or, stuff like that. Yeah. One of my friends, he used to post a lot of pictures of like guys he found attractive because that's what he did. And I was like, thanks, I needed an arm in that position, or like that guy's got a really interesting nose, sort of thing. He'd find it hilarious because I wasn't actually looking at them for the actual same reason he was.
I was telling Katy the other day that she should start grabbing cartoonists' art and trying to draw something in that style to try and get her cartoony chops up, because I don't remember what we were talking about. It was so funny because I'm sitting here going, it was about Claw, and it was like she was all like, I showed her my chibi drawing and she's like, I can't do that, and I was like, it just really strikes me as super fucking weird that there's a thing that you tell me that you cannot do when I just showed you that I was in fact able to do it without trouble, and you are in every way a much better, more accomplished, more experienced artist, and you're telling me that you cannot do this little bullshit cartoon that I just did.
I find simplifying things really difficult.
That is
Everything's
so funny.
got to be complicated.
It's not easy to simplify stuff, but like it's just funny to me because like I find it so much easier than trying to get the realism and the details in.
But that's the thing. All the years that she's put into learning all the tips and tricks and styles to make this look like a painting, and to make wildlife look like photorealistic images, is the same work I've put into learning how to cut everything down to simple black and white lines, and what's too much and what's too little. True. And what's quick tricks for making it look like an eyebrow without spending 10 hours on an eyebrow drawing each individual hair. It feels like trying
to draw with the wrong hand. That's what it feels like.
And without that same set of tools, like it's tricky.
Yeah.
Like even just trying to paint digitally and not having my brushes and knowing the ways I hold my brushes and the little tricks that I do with my brushes to get the effect that I want. Like I can't just splash blending medium on the wall and blend this out like I can on a mural. Like I've got to figure out how to work with these digital tools. It's a whole different thing to figure out, and it takes a lot longer when I could just flick of my wrist it, with paint. But
yeah. I mean, I learned quite a long time ago with like the original Coral Painter. It was that was my introduction to digital art. But if I ever find like my very first ones, I'll have to show you, because I don't know if you remember the dodge and burn brushes.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
yes.
I used to do it in like dark blue and then like dodge all the highlights out of it and stuff, which is kind of what I do with like scratch boards and stuff. But yeah, they were interesting, right?
Oh man, those first few like scanned inked images that I colored in Corel Photo Paint and like the first generation of Photoshop. Yeah. Oh my god, the colors I picked were like, this is extremely blue, don't your eyes hurt? And but like I didn't know any better. I didn't know anything about subtlety and saturation and all that stuff. I was like, this red makes my eyes tingle. I want to use it. And now like people send me reference photos to do a drawing of their character, and they're like, isn't this red exciting? Look at what it does on the screen. I'm like, yeah, you don't really want to use that red, man. Trust me. That's not what you want to use. I can find you a nice red that'll look good that won't be that.
But if you hadn't made those mistakes, then you wouldn't be the
Absolutely
artist that
not.
you are now. So you can't regret it too much, right? Like I could look back at my old stuff and cringe at it, but like I can't regret it.
I kind
can
of
only
cringe with
cringe.
joy. Like, it brings me joy to think how proud I was when I did that, and what a leap forward that was from the stuff before it. And my very first forays into color, because I thought I was going to do black and white forever, because that's what I wanted to do when I grew up. I wanted to do indie
I used
comics,
to do
and
black
they
and
were
white a
all
lot.
grayscale.
I used to do pencil drawings and stuff until I realized that like a lot of these galleries just aren't interested if it's just graphite. So then I had to kind of learn how to do the color. But I used to do a lot of pencil drawings and stuff like that.
When I was a kid figuring out what I wanted to be when I grew up, indie comics were all black and white. So that's what I wanted to do. Zipatone, the whole 9 yards. And I studied that and studied that. And now nobody does it anymore. And if you do your indie comic in black and white, the fans at the con just walk on by. And like, oh, man, I really like black and white. But, got to make money. So I had to learn what color was.
Yeah, same here. I get a lot of people sometimes with the wildlife art are like, you should do it a bit more painterly and stuff, but trying to get my brain to let go of the details is really difficult.
But the detail's there. I can see it. I can put it in. It's right here.
Yeah. And I actually like doing the details. Like with the black grouse picture I'm doing at the moment, I love like putting the details in, and it brings it forward out of the page. It's just like one of my favorite things to do. Especially when it's working well like that one.
Oh yeah.
Not when it's painting grass.
You had put a couple of TikToks up of that painting that you're doing, right? With the
just one.
Just the one. The little bitty. Just go look at it. What is it? Is it? Are you? I forget your name on TikTok.
So do I.
Hang on a second.
That's why I use one across everything. Makes it easy.
I can't.
I got it. I'll get it. I'll find it.
I have 3 videos on there. It's not like I'm using it very often.
Doesn't matter. Rooston Art. REWSTONART. All one word. Go find her on TikTok. There is a video on there where I could tell you were like holding your phone and painting, weren't you? Because like it's a little bit wobbly, but it doesn't matter. The point is, like, you can see her putting in these tiny little feathers. It's kind of mesmerizing, even for a very short video.
That's just nuts to me, the way that comes out. And, it's been an hour from sketch. It just blows my mind.
I mean, I still need to sharpen it up a bit, but yeah, I'm quite pleased with how she's looking. I mean, the hair color kind of works. She's a bit brunette at the moment, but like, so am I. So,
which is
you
fine.
don't see brunettes in much though. It's like people are either blonde or red-haired, or it's like I don't know if you ever read the Terry Pratchett books, but it's like the Tiffany Aching books, and she's like, it makes a point of all these like the fairy stories always happen to like blonde girls and stuff, but if you're just like mousy brown haired, nothing interesting ever happens to you apart from being like the servant or something. It is a good point. It's like, nothing really, you would never seem to see people with just mousy brown brunette sort of colours. The princesses is always
it's the servants' quarters. Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm kind of mad about that now. I didn't really even consider it and now you're like pointing it out to me. I'm like, shit, you're right.
Oh man. Like since I married my wife, everybody in my books has glasses now. I stick glasses on so many people because she's an optician, and she talks about glasses all the time. It makes me wear glasses, and like I think about it all the time now that I didn't think about before. So I put them everywhere.
I don't know what sort of clothing do you think she should have on her lower part, Fish?
On her lower parts.
I mean, like her legs and her,
I'm just, in the book, in the first book, there she's got like a long skirt thing that hangs, in the front and the back, that's connected with like rings around her hips, like a bikini with a skirt
kind of like
the front and back.
Like Leia's,
like a loincloth
Leia?
sort of thing.
Sort of, yeah, like that.
Okay. Any particular color for her clothing? I'm just trying to think what would work with.
I was thinking white, like, originally she was in a desert world in that book.
Yeah.
She's going to be in a more jungle climate here, so I might change her clothes altogether. But I was thinking like, white riding a camel through the Sahara kind of stuff. Originally. Keep it light and cool. This is still empty, Sarah. Why do you keep letting me drink out of this cup that's empty? I'm going to set it further away so I quit grabbing it.
Well, I do that
what kind of show are you running here, Sarah? I should have a new drink at least.
It's interesting that we were talking about how you're better in the mornings, and I'm sitting here going, I am not great at this time of day. I'm like, I could go for a nap right now, and then at like 7, 8 o'clock, then I'm okay again, but like from like 3 to 5-ish, I'm just like,
yeah.
Says me. Yeah, says me starting my stream at 10 o'clock for me in the evening.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I wasn't going to help you if you were going to start it at 10 o'clock my time, so... If you wanted my help, it had to be at a time that I could do it too.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I get real kind of hit or miss the further the day goes on. And a lot of times, if I can get in here and get in the seat and get in front of the camera, the adrenaline kicks in and it's all, hey, how are you? Token Fish, glad to see you. But, I might not have been able to talk very well before, and I might not be able to talk when I get back in the living room. But for right now, the camera's going and we're on the job here. I got it going. But that's kind of hit or miss sometimes. And it does no good if you're like, that doesn't do any good. So it's like I was telling Katie when we were talking earlier, if I can talk when I get home from picking up Des, I'll be there.
Well, I'm glad you are.
Yeah. This is fun.
It's always fun to have a chat with Fish.
Get to enjoy all the cool art, and I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, I must admit, today I was like, I've been driving such a long time, and I'm so tired. And then I was like, no, I cancelled it last week. I really need to do it this week.
Mm-hmm.
The nice thing about it, though, right now is it's a double-edged sword, really, because you can get away with canceling because it's not a very established show, not a lot of viewership yet. No. But on the other hand, if you keep canceling, it's never going to get that way either. So, double-edged sword.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And it feels like every time on 5-Star Fridays, we start to make some progress and we start to build back up with some momentum. Something will happen and we'll have to run a rerun. And then it feels like we're starting all the way back over again, with
didn't you have
3
to do a
viewers
rerun
again.
last week?
Yeah. And it was real, actually, last minute, but Fee's in the middle of moving and Ryan had something come up and him and Derek had to do something. And Tony didn't have kids for the first time in forever. So instead of his wife having to take the kids out of the house so he could do the show, she's like, I want to go do something. And he's like, yo, bro, my wife wants to go do something. I was like, man, let's call it then.
Well, sometimes that happens. Life gets in the way sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And one time Tony got stuck at work for, 3/4 of the show and didn't get there till the last bit. But, he works in a nursing home. And so sometimes things happen and you can't just up and leave when you're responsible for people. So.
Oh, yeah. It's the same if you're working with animals as well. Like my mum, she used to work for a big dairy and it's there was relatives who kind of got a bit annoyed that she was late for Christmas dinner. And it's like, look, she's just had to deal with 5,000 goats. It's, you can't not sort them out just because it's Christmas Day. So it's
I used to work in a facility for what they call them, emotionally and mentally challenged children or teens or stuff like that. It's probably what I can't remember exactly, but that seems the closest. And they first of all, I had no fucking business doing that job. If they had even the bare minimum of training, they would have realized that I had no fucking business doing that job. I was enthusiastic about it, but I was not well equipped. But secondly, that has to be a very offensive name too. And yeah, but sometimes that you would go in expecting you're gonna work your 8 or 10 hours, and then you were just gonna go. And I got away with that most of the time because the kids would go to sleep about an hour and a half before my shift was over. So most of the time, when it was time for my shift to be over, I got to leave. But once I came in to cover somebody's daytime shift, and I learned, you don't get to always just leave when your shift is over.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's the biggest employer in our city here is a state home for the mentally challenged. It's where you put the people that are too difficult to deal with at home, and most of them end up living their whole lives there, and kind of a shame. I kind of hate the place, but also where else would they be if it wasn't there? So.
At least they're not on the streets and homeless getting killed.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it is. We have a very bad support system for the members of our country, our society that need the most help. We have a terrible system in place.
That's one of the things that honestly kept me in a really bad marriage for a really long time, because my Tourette's was so severe for so long. And
you didn't know it was Tourette's?
Well, I mean, it was a long time before I knew it was Tourette's. And, I didn't get diagnosed till I was 30, but by then I was in a wheelchair. And and I spent, 15 years in a wheelchair. And most of that time, I couldn't communicate clearly. I couldn't see out of both eyes, if at all. I couldn't work both hands. I couldn't walk. Like, it was really tough. And it was that way more than it wasn't. My good days were shaking violently enough that you could still understand what I was saying, and be able to communicate clearly was the best I could really hope for at the time. And my ex-wife had always worked at the Human Development Center here in town, and I was legit afraid that if I left, I was going to end up in some place like that, because like at the time, in the situation I was in and the conditions I was in, there was no way I could take care of myself.
Yeah.
It was terrifying. It wasn't until she actually just up and disappeared one day that, we later came to find out that a lot of the stuff she was doing was adding a whole lot of stress and a whole lot of trouble to it. And things got a whole lot better once she left and took all that anxiety with her. But you don't know that from the midst of the trenches while you're in it.
Yeah. When you're inside the storm, you can't see how wide it is, how far it goes. So
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And I didn't know that, her keeping me up all night and not letting me sleep just because she was mad and didn't want to let me sleep, and not feeding me for days because she got mad at me because I was too ticky to do something she wanted me to do. I didn't realize how much all that stuff added to making the tics worse. And
That's
all of a
awful.
sudden, once I could sleep 8 hours a day and go to sleep when I was tired and get up in the morning, and I could go for a walk and get some exercise, and I could eat 2 or 3 meals a day, all of a sudden things got a whole lot better, a whole lot quicker. Go figure. It was like magic. But, didn't know.
We had, where I used to live, there was a facility like that, but there was this one guy, and his entire family, the boys were all sort of ended up in places like that, but the girls were a bit better. But he he was such a character, this guy. He actually, when he died, had 600 people at his funeral because everybody in the town knew him. He just he was such a character. They even, there was even a campaign to rename the local library after him. But he was brilliant. Everyone's got memories of him. It's like when he used to push his shopping down the road in a wheelbarrow with a registration plate hanging off the back of it.
Nice.
But he'd repeat things that people told him. Sometimes it was just really random things. Like my 2 friends were sitting there from school, and they were like 2 really top student sort of girls. Like they wouldn't ever cause trouble. They were just always top grades, that sort of type of person. And he just wandered up to them and shouted, "Kids have no respect these days," and then walked off.
Jesus.
He was brilliant. But it was he was in a place like that, but they got to walk about in the town and stuff. We used to see him quite frequently going downtown and stuff. Oh, such a character. I mean, he's the sort of person that you could write about, and people are like, "Oh, you're just making that up." It's like, no, he was great.
Oh no, trust me, seriously, I know this dude. Yeah, I got a couple of guys like that, like it, and not even, like people born different, just like some weird cats from my hometown that did some crazy stuff. That when I start telling stories, people are like, "No, they didn't." And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, you can look it up in the newspaper, man, Magnolia Gazette. You can go find it. It's in there. I'm telling you. Freaking held his parents hostage for 3 days and didn't go to jail or nothing. Like, had them tied up in chairs for 3 days, messing on themselves. Wow. And when the cops finally got in and stopped, it was like, all right, you can't do this no more. And just left him there with his parents.
Wow. That says a lot about the
justice
system.
What could the parents have done?
Oh, man, I'm telling you, like, can you imagine living in terror of this little kid? Like, I mean, he wasn't young, but he wasn't a very big guy. Mm-hmm. But if he's not a big guy or his parents big, I don't know. Maybe he's the same size as them. I don't know. But, Cat was weird. And then just like, he didn't show up for a few days. And then, it was all over the news. And then all of a sudden, he's back in school.
How old was he when this happened?
Oh, we were in high school. So, he was probably 17, I'm guessing.
Wow.
At the time.
Mm.
We were both in special ed together at one point. So, like, I don't know. I kind of kept my eye on him because I knew him for special ed, because when I moved to town, they saw that I was in all of these special classes in Oklahoma, because I was in, like, advanced math and advanced history and advanced science, and I was in math club staying after school to, like, do calculus for fun in 5th grade. And so when I came to Arkansas, they're like, oh, you're in the special classes. So they stuck me in special ed to learn how to put the milk in the refrigerator and to buckle your seatbelt and to follow instructions.
Oh,
and
God.
And the funny thing is, it was like a year before I realized that they had stuck me in special ed and that they just weren't really stupid down here in Arkansas. Like, I just thought they were really backwards, and this was like, what they had to do at this grade. But oh no, they just saw special classes and they only had one kind of special class, so that must be what I'm supposed to be in.
To be fair, Arkansas really doesn't have the best PR when it comes to the national news stage. So
that's true.
I mean, I don't hear a lot of good stories coming out of Arkansas.
We do have our one foundational truth that every Arkansan can rely on and repeat on notice. At least we ain't Mississippi. And that is our claim to fame for the most part when it comes to education.
Literally every state gets to say that, though, except for Mississippi, because
yeah, but we're a lot closer to the line, so it means more here, sister.
That's fair.
So, you can sit there with your liberal elite up north with your numbers and your finger counting and all that stuff, but down here in the mud, sister.
I don't
know
like to say that we're liberal, granola eating soy boys up here, but like, have you seen the news coming out of Wisconsin lately? Because my state, not that good right now. Actually, we have it's not a good thing. I'm trying to be a smartass about it, but it's just so bad. We have the most do-nothing state legislature in the whole country right now, because we have a very right-wing Republican legislature and he's not like super left, but he's definitely a Democrat governor, and they are always butting heads, and so
isn't it funny how that happens? Like, how does the same place vote for the same people?
The people that live in this country.
But if you can't do that voting for either one of the parties, but
that's another fun fact about Wisconsin is, like, when you hear about the gerrymandering bullshit in this country, you always hear Wisconsin, because they did that with surgical precision back in 2012, I think it was. The maps got redrawn when Scooty Walker came into town, and they did like surgical precision, and so now just
you
like
can
the fact
get
that
exactly
it's a very
what you want
state
out of them by cutting it up and splitting it up, and
Yep.
depending on what the rules of your state are and how votes count, you can cut up the bluest state and make it bright red, and vice versa.
Yep.
If you
like that's
do it right.
historically and currently, Wisconsin is an extremely purple state. Like, we are purple. There is no red, no hint of red, no hint of blue. We are purple, and it's interesting that when the whole state's votes are counted in one, e.g. the governor's race, you see who tends to get the votes, and Tony Evers in this case. But then the legislature would still end up being like, and then they have the brass balls to say, we don't gerrymander our maps. Like, fuck, you don't. You would have 50-50 legislatures.
How the hell did you get these crazy shapes if you didn't gerrymander them?
And the legislature would be evenly matched, Republican, Democrat, Independent, if they didn't do that. So just like, you're pissing in my face and tell me that it's raining. Like, stop it.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it.
I'm not entirely sure what gerrymandering is, because
it's where you break up your voting districts into these crazy convoluted shapes. Like, if you threw a handful of rice on the floor and then drew this crazy map around where that rice landed, like, these are the kind of shapes that they twist the state into voting districts, so that you can force the vote to come out the way you want it to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because
they like to, like, for example, in Wisconsin, Madison, the capital, extremely liberal. So they try to cram as much of the liberal boundaries into Madison, and that they call that packing. And then when they see that there's a significant, like on my side of the state, there's a significant population of liberal people, but it's also interspersed with lots of Republican people, lots of conservatives. And so they draw these fucked up districts so that the clusters of liberals will be diluted amongst these large swaths of conservatives.
And
so
that one town could be cut into
anything.
4 or 5 chunks for different districts.
Yep.
That stretch all the way out across the countryside to make sure that they've diluted your liberal vote with their, conservative vote, or vice versa. Whoever's in charge doing the gerrymandering.
Yeah, like,
because they
Madison,
both do it.
Like, for example, for Madison, as in my continuing example, they know that there's no way they could cut up Madison to make it to get only conservative votes, or votes for conservative people. So they smash it all together, because if they were to try and cut it up in any other way, then they'd end up with even more votes for liberal.
Yeah, you'd end up with more liberal votes.
So that's why they pack all those liberal voters into these.
Make that one vote, and then we can dilute the rest of them.
Yeah, like that way we get 45 conservatives and only one liberal. It's.
I get it, yeah.
And there's so many things that they put into it too that's so conniving, like putting poor areas where more of the people are going to be at work and not be able to get off of work to vote, things like that. And then cut that in with a chunk of a richer neighborhood where there's a whole lot of soccer moms that are sitting home doing nothing, just waiting to drive their Lexus to go vote. And so you split that rich area up. Instead of being one vote, it gets split up and incorporated into all these other poor areas. So that neighborhood gets to have a bigger say in all of these counties' votes. It's criminal. And they know it's criminal. But as long as we're in charge and we cater it towards our side, that makes it a lot more likely our side's going to win again next time, so we can keep it this way. And if there's a giant sway, then the other guys are going to come in and they're going to change it, and then we're going to try and fight it. Yeah,
and in this country,
it is.
The liberals, the Democratic Party, they keep trying to do this. Well, we're gonna rise above them, and we're not gonna stoop to their dirty tricks. And it's like, but you gotta, because otherwise we're just gonna get worse and worse until we have a literal dictator. Like, you can't do this. You can't go ahead and fight dirty, because they're gonna that bullshit with the Supreme Court. Like, they refused. President Obama had 6 months left on his term, and what's his name, Scalia died. Justice Scalia died, and so
Obama did
his duty by he appointed a new candidate to be another Supreme Court justice, and then Turtleface.
Congress
I can't
just shut
remember
it
his name.
down.
Yeah. He was like, no, we're gonna let the people decide, and we're not gonna we're not gonna do any hearings for any appointments until after the presidential election, until the new president's in, because and he knew that he specifically, because Republicans had enough power in the United States Congress, they were able to get away with that.
Yeah.
And thus that's how we ended up with Trump appointing 3 justices.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was stolen from them. One of them is a literal criminal. And then Amy Coney Barrett just kind of sucks. Like, she was she like, because they then Trump was like when the old lady died. What the fuck is her name? God damn
Ruth
it.
Bader Ginsburg.
Yes, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Thank you.
Come on. Where's your feminist card?
I know. You know what?
I'm just laughing.
You know what really sucks? I have my cousin's cat is named Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and I should remember that, because how cute is Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
I'm just laughing that there's just one really realistic hand, and
the rest of it's
like
just
right
meat.
next to her face.
Oh, that hand looks amazing, though.
It does. It looks so good. But yeah, like, Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, and what was it, like, less than a month left to the election, or even maybe he had already lost, and then they
the
ran
Republicans
through
are
Amy
just
Coney
pitching
Barrett.
a fit. Like, no, you can't hold this. This is constitutionally, we're supposed to get this in right now. This is the way it's supposed to be done. Even though I'm the same one that was raising hell and wouldn't let us do it last time. Oh.
Yeah, Turtleface is a bad dude. Mitch McConnell is his name.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you've heard the name before, Katie. Like, and I bet if you saw his face, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, that guy." Because
I know who he is.
Mitch
yeah.
McConnell is a turtle.
Mm-hmm.
Only he's
I
not.
actually,
It makes me sad saying that, because I love turtles. They're one of my
love
favorite
turtles.
animals.
So long before
I
Ninja
don't love
Turtles.
that particular turtle.
No,
I
don't
went
like
to
it.
university with a guy called Turtle because.
Well, the guy that you went to university with has to be a better person than Mitch McConnell.
Oh, he was lovely. He just looked like a turtle. That's why everyone.
For him. I would hate to share any features with Mitch McConnell.
He didn't. He didn't even look like Mitch McConnell. Actually, he just yeah. But he was great. I liked him. Although he did. That is the first time I've seen a man cry whilst eating food.
What?
Yeah. Right. Students will try and make food out of anything, and quite regularly. Turtle decided to make a curry with everything he had in his cupboard, which included chocolate and marmalade, and cream and chili, and he was eating it with tears streaming down his face. And he's like, "I've made it now."
Chili. What the fuck?
Yeah. And he's like, "I've made it now. I'm gonna have to eat it." And he was just eating it with like tears streaming down his face because it was so awful.
I was gonna ask, like, was it because it's hot, or was it just gross, or
I honestly
was it
think
the
it was
shame
a
of all his
combination
bad
both.
decisions?
Yeah, I think it was a combination of both. I think.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
because I have happily sat there eating crawdads, just weeping, nose running, sweating profusely, just like, oh my god, this is so good. Don't let me touch my eyes. Oh my god, like I've done that, but not out of disgust.
Yeah. I've been across the table from Jeffrey, who he will literally be like, he'll just be like sweating, and there will be tears in his eyes, and he will just keep fucking doing it. Like, I'm like, I'll sit and watch him and be like, why do you do that to yourself? Like, you look like you're in pain. Why are you doing this?
It sounds so much like my wife.
And he's just like, but it's so good. And I'm like,
exactly.
It doesn't look like it's good, okay?
And I can't even take it like I used to. Like, I used to like it dangerously hot, like start to have reactions hot. But after I got food poisoning, nah, I can't do that anymore. Now, like, jalapenos are about as far as I can go. And even then, they get me sweating. But, still, sometimes it's so good.
One of my friends actually made a business out of eating, making a hot sauce business. So he actually does, as a shout out to him, if you're ever in the UK, it's Koo's Hot Sauces. I've never tried them, and the designs in the bottle really make me want to try them, but I'm really, really bad with chili. So I just no, I can't do it. But like the bottle designs are so pretty. I just want to try it just once.
I want so bad to like hot sauce. I really do. But like I'm from the whitest part of the whitest state of the whitest section of the country. Even my last name is white, okay? I mean,
coming from somebody who
can't
knows
handle it.
several Wisconsinites, like I know several Wisconsinites, they're like, oh, these potatoes are spicy. You know, like, oh, did you put the salt on this? Like, yeah, I know I get it.
I want to. I really, but like, and I do appreciate very like herby, flavorful stuff. But like when it gets to the spice, like the heat, that's where I can only tolerate a little. And it makes me so sad. Like there's this hot sauce that, because Jeff collects hot sauces, he's got like 10 bottles. And I'll sniff them sometimes, and I'll be like, "Ooh, that smells fruity and nice. I like it a lot." And then I'll try and take a little nip of it, and it's just like, no, I don't taste any of the things that I smelled. Why can't I taste anything that I smell? That's all I taste. It is pain. That's all I taste.
Cole's hot sauces.
Like, and the weird thing is, like, I like some things spicy, but not most things. And especially after I got food poisoning, I can't take a whole lot of things spicy anymore. But like, it's real big to make like your barbecue sauces real spicy, especially around here. And a lot of the barbecue places are like, we got the sweet, the mild, the, you know, and then we got the, like, you have to sign a waiver before we're going to let you try it. We need to have an emergency contact number. And my friends are always like, oh, I dare you. It's like, no, dude, man, this is barbecue. I'm here for the sweet, man. I don't want nothing past my, like, this is barbecue. I want it to taste good. I don't want this to hurt. Now, if we're talking chili, yeah, bring the pain, daddy. But, you know, we're not with my barbecue. I want my barbecue sweet and tasty.
I don't understand the point of hot barbecue. Like, it should be flavorful and
it should be an enjoyable experience, not a challenge.
Yeah, like
I
sweet
love
is okay,
barbecue
like
stuff.
not sweet, but like smoky is good, sweet is good, like, but like not hot. Like it's that's not
just
that's
a
not what
good
barbecue's
smoked
supposed to be
chicken
doing.
on its own that's really flavorful. I don't need a sauce. Just give me the chicken. I'm happy. But, you know, we don't need to turn this into a manhood challenge. You know,
Am I weird, or am I just like blaspheming any Southern traditions by saying that I like to get a good barbecued chicken and then and get some coleslaw and like dip the chicken in the coleslaw and eat it that way? Like, I don't know if that's like
wrong with that.
bad to do, but like that's what I like to do.
Oh man, most
chicken.
of the good barbecue shops around here, you know, like the little sketchy looking place with the smoker out back that they give you like the can of Coke and a styrofoam cup for your drink. Like most of those places, it's coleslaw on the barbecue sandwich. Like it's all meant to go together, and it's
awesome.
It's good stuff.
I love barbecue.
Oh, I'm giving myself goosebumps, y'all.
I'm
thinking about barbecue.
Yeah, I was thinking about. I was like, it's getting close to supper time, and I'm still sitting here talking to you guys instead of like going and making some supper. And I'm like, and I'm really kind of hungry now. And what I did, so I made some cookies, some biscuits last night, and they were really good. And I
appreciate the clarification for both sides.
I was hungry before I came in, but
are.
I grabbed the whole pan and I set it next to me, and I was like, okay, there's not that much left. There's only that much left. But I'm like, if I don't get up and make supper pretty soon, I'm going to eat all of these because I am hungry. And that's not great. But I also am enjoying the conversation, so I'm conflicted.
He has one realistic hand now.
Oh man, those feathers look amazing.
Great hand though. Like that hand, and then it's like a very realistic fist next to a very realistic face. And then the rest of it's
just like, eh.
Yeah, and up until you did that to the hand and stuff, like it all looked really good right up until you did that, and now like the rest of it looks like shit. So
yeah, you see, that's the trouble with my stuff. It's like I'll get one area looking really good, and it's like, damn it, now I've got to do the rest of it.
Yeah, now we got to bring all the standards up to this. You know, it was fine. They were happy with it. Why did you keep pushing? That's absolutely why I hated like painting murals like in people's houses and stuff, because they're absolutely going to walk in halfway through and they're going to see it all blobs of paint and shapes, and like, this
And
isn't
they're gonna
what I
freak
wanted.
out.
And I'm like, just relax, let me finish.
Trust the process.
It's gonna look like the examples I showed you. I do this all the time. Just give me a minute. But it.
Just give it
It's-
time. It doesn't. Like
Mhm.
you know, people don't seem to realize that stuff has an ugly stage.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's.
It's not like applying
it's like-
wallpaper.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like, I thought I could have finished this off stream, but I thought it was important to actually show people that it does go through ugly stages before it starts getting better.
Yeah, and we didn't even
So-
think that it had an ugly stage until you're just like zooming in on that one little section there, and now it's like, yeah, when you zoom back out, like that's an ugly stage because you made that one spot better than the rest of it. It's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, people just don't seem to realize, and then I'll show something like that I know is really obviously a work in progress to people, and they're like, oh, that looks really good, and I was like, I've literally just started. It's got a long way to go before I finish it.
But then to a lot of people, also it's magic. Getting it anywhere close, like
Yeah.
the awkward stage alone is so much better than most people can get to that it seems like magic.
Yeah.
And I forget that. Like, to me, watching me draw all day is boring. That's what I do all day. Like, it's
Yeah.
fun because I'm doing it and I'm making sound effects and being stupid, but like it doesn't seem like magic. But then I do it at a con and suddenly a crowd surrounding, like, oh my god, look at that. And I'm like, dude, it's literally an eyebrow. Like, calm down.
I
But
get like
it's
that
fun,
with my
like
stuff as
watching other people's art streams like this and
Mhm.
watching the process happen in front of you. That's because then you get to have a little taste of that feeling that the non-artists do have when they watch you draw an eyebrow.
Oh yeah.
It's really
And that's
cool
that's why
watching
I
other
like
people work.
watching Katy's show, because her art style is so different than mine. I'm always picking up and learning new things and seeing the way she's doing it as opposed to the way I would have gotten there. And I love watching other art streams for the same reason, because like even when they do things the same style I do them in, I always
still
learn
learn
something
stuff.
new. I learn
Yeah.
about new tools that have been sitting there all this time just right in front of me, and I didn't know they were there. Like, I did not know for the longest time that you can just change the way the objects picker selection tool works, and like you can change the settings on that. I thought it only had scale and rotate, and that was it. No, I can change it to like freeform edit. I can change it to skew and scale. So like I can put out lettering and now skew it and stuff like I would have done in Clip Studio. I didn't think I had that option for 5 years. And it's just sitting there because I didn't know to click on it until somebody else pointed it out to me.
Oh, you
It's
see,
nuts.
I'm
my
pissed off that I didn't know about Clip Studio having vector stuff until you
Mhm.
pointed it out, and I was like, wait, what the fuck?
Oh man, it is so amazing. For
If I
ink.
would have known that, I
love it.
probably, because I have an iPad, so like naturally I looked at all people's reviews and I was like, okay, Procreate's the one for me, and I got it. And now
Procreate's
fucking
awesome.
3
Look.
years later, I'm learning that I probably should have picked Clip Studio. Yeah, Procreate's great. Don't get me wrong. However,
I'm
when it comes
so
to graphical
jealous.
elements, it's not that great. It really isn't.
I'm so jealous of some of the inked pages I get from people occasionally to color. Like Mike occasionally would send me pages from Chat and Draw to color for him. And like I'm zooming in on this and it's actual ink soaked into actual paper and bleeding out into the fibers of the paper and stuff that I can't get in Clip Studio. And it's
Coral Paint used to do
amazing.
that quite well.
And it's just freaking beautiful to look at. And I wish I could get those kind of effects, especially like when I want my colors to look like watercolor paint, and I want to have some of that bleed and that inconsistency and a little more color soaked into the paper here. And, those kind of effects are hard to fake, like
Coral
I'm
did it really
jealous.
well, but it's so expensive compared to something like Procreate.
Oh yeah. And I bought a recent copy of Corel because I was getting an error message when I tried to upload my older copy onto my new computer. So I bought a new copy, and it turns out it's like the student copy. So it's kind of got training wheels on it everywhere, but it does enough for the rare times I have to use it anymore. Because now I do almost everything in Clip Studio.
Yeah, and it's such a good piece of software as well. It's like, I tried it because I was getting really fed up with Photoshop for various reasons. I think I was having a problem with my Wacom tablet, like just not cooperating with it.
Imagine that having problems with an Adobe product.
Yeah, so I did the free trial of Clip, and I was like, I am immediately getting this. It's so good.
That's the thing that I preach to everybody. Like, it goes on sale so often for such ridiculously cheap prices. And the base version has like all of the bells and half the whistles. Like, it's got all of the basics you could possibly want. And then there's like, maybe a few detailed settings deep in menus that it doesn't have. But you can do almost everything in the basic version. And it goes on sale for like $45, $35 sometimes. I got it for like $35 and then upgraded.
Yeah. My dad actually got me the full version of it, but as a present. But, I don't really know what difference it is, but I don't, I think the basic version of it is still pretty amazing. So
It really is. I was making money professionally off the basic version for like 2 years. And then I upgraded to, the EX version and paid for that when they had a sale on the upgrade. And then like my son got his laptop and we uploaded it on there, and it uploaded there too fine. And then I got a new computer and it would only let me upload the previous version, the cheaper version. What's up, J-Man? And I went back to using the cheap version for like another year before I upgraded my computer again, and it worked fine. Like other than like some of the smaller settings, if you use a 3D model, like controlling the fingers, like you don't have a couple of the little sliders and stuff, like it's little bitty things that it's missing, or like being able to open multi-page documents and keep all of your comic book pages in one file. But that file gets so big that it's just easy. I prefer having multiple files open anyway. And it's easier on my computer to open the 3 pages I'm working on than try to open 24.
Yeah, I think I work on a laptop, so I mean, I think it really struggles with things like the time lapse pictures. As much as that saving thing is really annoying, I'm quite glad of it, because occasionally it has actually crashed.
It's saved my life so many times.
Yeah, it just sort of, you can tell it's going to do it though, because it lags for a couple of seconds.
And then it pops up, and like if you're doing a time lapse, it takes forever for that thing to save sometimes. But man, it has saved my life sometimes too when the computer crashed.
How much power does the computer have to be able to save a time lapse like with Clip? Like that's
the time lapse files are big, and like it saves like every motion that you do. So like depending on how many layers and stuff, like it's almost saving it like a vector file. Like it's not recording video, it's recording this movement, that movement, this movement, that movement, and then plays them back in order. And I've had a couple of my files get to like 3 gig on big detailed drawings.
I was getting to a gig, and then I just had to like stop it, save it, start again, like, and then because I did it with the Jace picture from the Sundering. It just got to the stage where I couldn't work on it. But this is only a laptop, so it's not ideal.
Goddamn cats are stupid. We got a package this morning, and Jeff emptied it and then left the box up on the table because it's garbage day is tomorrow, and I was like, just leave it there, we'll get it tomorrow. And there's a cat in it now, and he's up, and it's like in a precarious position. It's like, you don't even care for your own safety, do you? Just living your life like you pay your own vet bills, you little asshole.
Oh my god, I gotta remember that one. Oh my god, that was beautiful. I can pay your own vet bills.
First started throwing it at that exact cat, I might add, because the dipshit liked to walk across the banister, and it's the banister from the living room, and it's like stopping people from falling down the stairs, falling off the edge into the stairwell, and we call it the deep end. the part where the stairs are farthest away, and this fucking moron is walking on it and falls and hurt his leg. And so, like, he occasionally, to this day, it's been a year since it happened, and he still limps occasionally because he messed up his joints. And so, yeah, I was like, we're like, you're banned. You can't be on the banister. And then, yeah, living his life like he pays his own vet bills.
Oh, man. After the last time we were on a show together, and you said, like, neurospicy probably 5 times on that show.
Neurospicy is a good word.
It is a good word.
The next day, I was on the Thursday Night Throwdown or something. Like, it was really soon after. We had just been on the show together. And I was on this art stream with these guys, and we were talking. And I threw it out because it was on my mind because you just said it like 5 times. And they freaking flipped out. And I was like, okay, now, A, I can't take credit for this. And B, like, the word's been around. Like, it's not brand new.
Oh, but we can't take credit for it either. It's been around for quite a while.
But I was like, but I got to give credit where credit is due. I was just on a show with my buddy, and she was using it, and it stuck in my head. But, oh my God, they flipped. I was not expecting that reaction in the middle of my story. And just hit one of those points where it's like, okay, good night, I'm out.
Have you ever been this where you're telling a story and you don't ever think that the thing that you're about to say is even that, but like, I mean, neurospicy, it's funny, that's why you remembered it, but you're just talking and you don't even realize that you're being spicy, you're being funny, and then suddenly people just shit their pants laughing at you. I was admittedly trying to be a little bit snotty, but my sister had she was at, like, it was the wedding gift opening thing, and for some fucking reason I had to be there. I don't remember why, but they didn't have a registry, so they got a shitload of picture frames. And she said at one point, "Oh my God, it's another picture frame." And I was like, "Well, that's what happens when you don't have a registry. You get framed." And my aunt legit pissed her pants because she was laughing so hard. And I was just like, I didn't even know, I didn't even realize that I had made it funny. I didn't realize that was going to be funny. I wasn't intentionally making a joke. I just was like, this is what happens.
Oh, man. That is the highest mark of getting a laugh, is getting somebody to piss their pants. That brings me joy. There are 2 separate occasions, 2 separate summers. We were sitting on the front porch in Louisiana, shucking crawdads after crawdad boil, and everybody's gone home, and we're sitting there under that yellow light shucking crawdads for etouffee the next day. And me and my cousin Gumby are sitting there, and I get to cracking jokes. 2 summers in a row, twice, I got him to laugh so hard he fell off his bucket off the front porch and pissed himself. And that is still the high point of my life. Like, that is one of my favorite moments in life, that I did it twice. And it was so funny. I loved it.
I got kicked out of a lecture at university once because me and one of the girls, we got the giggles. You know how you can't stop once you get the giggles. And I'd just come from the supermarket, and I was like, the supermarket has Munchkin pumpkins. And there's literally like these tiny little pumpkins, and the variety is called Munchkin. And my friend found it so funny, she just started giggling, and then I started giggling because she was giggling, and we just got kicked out because we couldn't.
And then you're just laughing because you're laughing, and you can't catch your breath, and it's so funny, and that you can't catch your breath, and it's so stupid what you're laughing about, and
have you seen the video, right, where it's a train, it's like a subway train or something, and someone on it gets the giggles, and it sets off everybody in the train, and nobody knows what they're laughing at. They're just all absolutely like wetting themselves laughing, but it's like they're just sort of looking really confused. It's like,
you have no idea how many nights I've had to get out of bed and leave the room because I'm laying there going to sleep, and some like random tick comes through my head, and I start to giggle, and then I just get the giggles, and I can't quit laughing. And I'm a big dude, And
Wife must
so,
get so
like,
annoyed with those.
when like 6.5 feet of mountain is laughing next to you in bed, everybody knows it. And so like I have to get up and go in the other room and just laugh at myself for an hour until I finally get tired enough to go back to bed.
I had this has been a few weeks, I guess. Jeff was trying to explain something to me, and I cannot for the life of me. I think it had something to do with ham radio stuff, because he's a ham radio nerd. And what he said was just beyond stupid, because what he said was, he was trying to explain it, and he was trying to find the words, and what he said was motorized motor. It's a motorized motor. And so immediately, I am dying. I am gasping for air because I am laughing so fucking hard. And he is at first, like, you can see, like, confusion because he didn't realize what he said. And then I'm barely able to get the air back into me to squeak out, "You said motorized motor, it's stupid, that's..." And then he realized, he's like, "Well, it's not that funny." And I was like, "But it is." And then I'm just laughing so hard that eventually he starts to giggle. I keep telling everybody the story, not because I think motorized motor is that funny. It's a little funny, let's be real, but because it ended up being us laughing for like 10 minutes straight, because he was laughing because I was laughing, and I was laughing because he said something a little bit dumb.
Oh,
it's amazing how that happens.
I am so bad since my heat stroke about saying random things when I can't think of the word. And it'll come out faster than I can think of sometimes. And, and I'll be like, the wet bread strings. And I'm talking about spaghetti that we're having for dinner, but all I can think of is
thinking noodles. Yeah.
Wet bread strings. And, the stupid things like that. And, I will just die laughing at it. And the family thinks it's funny, but I will just crack up sometimes because some of it's so stupid. And then I will just think the dumbest things sometimes and just bust out laughing at myself, and nobody knows why. But like, we were in Oklahoma visiting, one of our grandbabies, and we were walking through this little bitty tiny museum in this little bitty tiny town. Like, it was one room. And, it was about Native American heritage, and we're walking around, and I walk past this model of, this, little Quapaw lady, and she's got, a baby and a papoose on her back. And I'm just looking at that model. And the first thing that pops through my head is, Indians didn't have babies, stupid. And then I just died laughing because it's so stupid. Like, where the hell did that come from? But dumb things like that constantly just pop through my head. Like, we were talking about our daughter Des the other day, and her friends coming to stay, and we were talking about something, and and my wife was saying, "Yeah, Des was laughing so hard she couldn't breathe." And my first thought was, Des doesn't breathe. And then I just died laughing. Because I'm like, of course she breathes. Where did that even come from? But,
I feel you on the not being able to remember words, though. Like the wet bread, like, I get that. I think it was relatively recently that I said the box where the cats keep their butt nuggets or butt rocks or something, because I was trying to say the litter box.
Yeah.
It's like, where the cats keep their butt rocks. Like, what? It's like I speak English as a second language or something.
Absolutely.
Butt rocks.
Absolutely. Oh, man. I do that so much. Oh, God, it's ridiculous.
Oh, this actually, drawing the feathers reminds me that something that I was going to send you, Fish, and I forgot. I saw a thing about this people where they picked up a feather and all the crows in the area started shouting at them and making alarm calls until they put the feathers down. It's like, that's so weird. That just, it's like some sort of really odd behavior that I was like,
and once again, like, we were just sitting here talking about how dumb we all collectively are, and in the process, Katy has turned it from a blob of yellow into a belt.
Oh, yeah, into a shiny,
gorgeous metal
well-polished golden belt. It's beautiful.
And that was just like while we were talking about how dumb we are.
Absolutely.
the whole ADHD conversation, like meanders. Yeah.
I think that might have been somebody should just clip that out of this stream and just be like, "Do you need to know what ADHD is? That was this."
Squirrel.
Only one aspect of it, but that is definitely.
Oh gosh, absolutely.
Nothing meanders more than a conversation between a group of people with ADHD. It's like,
but it's so much more fun.
And nobody even cares. Nobody even cares that somehow you diverged off the topic 4 or 5 different times and never did finish that first story, and nobody cares. Because
the only bad part is when you've got a really good story and you're trying really hard not to interrupt, and 10 other people interrupt with really awesome stories, and now we're nowhere near that story that you wanted to tell anymore.
Oh my God,
it's just sitting there, you're like, oh, but it's so good, and I want to tell you, and the dude got shot, but it doesn't make sense now. So I'll wait till next time. Okay, let's keep going.
I mean, you can still tell people. It's because
yeah, but then you're the guy that brought the train to a halt, and you're like, you remember that funny thing that happened 10 minutes ago? Well, waka waka waka. Yeah, I don't want to do
still back in November. Okay, my car has those shitty plastic hubcaps, right? And back in November, I was visiting my mom, and I had ripped off all but one of the hubcaps because they kept breaking and falling off. Well, actually, 2 of them released themselves into the wild. I have no idea where they are. But there was just one.
I was trying to think of a joke along that same line.
But yeah, there was one silver hubcap, and then the rest were just the black metal wheel wells. And she's like, "Do you have your?" She saw the one side of the car. And she's like, "Do you have your spare tire on?" And I was like, "What?" "Oh no, that's just." And I was starting to tell her what happened, and why the hubcaps were gone. And then something happened that I diverged off of that topic, and then I never told her why the hubcaps were gone. And I still think about that today. I've never told my mother. I started the story, but
she's just sitting there without this information.
Yeah, she does not know why my car has no hubcaps. I don't know. I think about that a lot, and there's no reason.
My dad
for
would
that.
have called.
She doesn't even care.
He would have called me so you never told me. Just checking. He couldn't have let that go. He would have asked.
Yeah,
I do.
It's funny that she clearly she doesn't care. She would have asked me if she cared. She probably doesn't even remember making the comment that started the whole thing in the first place. But periodically, I do in fact think about that, and then I go, I never did tell Mom why I don't have hubcaps anymore.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you know what? I could have told her too. Also, that replacing them is $20 per tire, and I was like, I'm not fucking paying $20 per tire for a stupid shitty piece of plastic with stupid shitty plastic clips that are gonna break anyway, because that's why they're gone in the first place. It's because they're shitty and they're plastic and they're dumb.
But how do you really feel about it? That's the question.
And then at the same time, I look at the car and I'm like, wow, not having hubcaps makes it look so much worse than it actually is. It's not a great car, but it's an alright car. And it's certainly reliable. And here I am making it I'm not giving it back its shiny little tire jewelry.
I know where they are. They're on the fence of that guy that lives in one of my favourite places in Scotland. His entire fence is just hubcaps. The entire thing. There must be 100 of them.
They went back for a family reunion and just decided to move in with the clan and stay there.
So he's just, and he's just he's just seeing oh, see that car over there? That's a Mazda, and so I know I can just stick my fingers into the holes and just poop and pop it right off. And so I'm gonna do it. Oh man,
I one time launched my Mazda 626 through the air, landed on the train tracks with a train coming in the middle of the night, and it flattened my tire when I landed on the train tracks. And
the rim as well?
No, actually the rim was okay, but it flattened the tire because it hit one of those, because the train tracks, lovely enough, had spikes on the inside of them with edges that would cut your tires if you tried to drive on the tracks. Okay. And so I had hit one of those when I landed and split one of the tires. And so in the middle of the night, with a train starting to come my way, I did not know that there was a wood processing plant, half a mile away down the tracks, and that's where the train was loading up. So every 10 minutes the train would start to lurch forward a little bit. Turns out they were moving forward to fill another car. I thought it was coming at us to kill us, and it may or may not have been drunk. And so I'm sitting there desperately trying to change this tire, cannot get the lug wrench that came with it to fit on these lug nuts for some reason. I'm trying. We tried to get people to stop to help us, but every time they would see me come out of the darkness, they'd take off running.
Jesus.
And, I'd send my girlfriend out there to scream for help. And when somebody would stop, I'd come out please help. And they'd take off running thinking we were trying to kill them. And, finally, I stayed back. She got somebody to stop. Turns out I knew them. They ran over, helped us push the car off the tracks, flatted all of my tires on the process, hitting those spikes on the way out.
Oh my God, it's $600. Ow.
And so the next day, I go back out there with new tires with my mom to driving me out there to try and change them, only to find out they're decorative freaking plastic nubs on the hubcaps that I was trying to change, and the hubcaps pop right off, but it looks like you're going right into the lug nuts with these big chrome plastic. I was so pissed. I was so pissed.
We had to replace all of the lug nuts on my car, which is a Ford, but the actual, they'd corroded so much that the surface of them had actually come away from underneath. So when you twisted it, the surface spun round on the lug nuts.
Oh, God.
So yeah, that wasn't great. We had to get the whole lot of them replaced, but at least it's, we eventually did manage to get them off, well, my dad did with a lot of swearing. But,
as you do.
Yeah.
This car that I have now, when I had only had it a couple of months when the pandemic hit, and so we basically I just left it parked where it was for so long, and we would periodically go out there for whatever reason and have to drive it. And one day I went out there and the rear driver's tire was flat, and I was like, I have no idea how long this has been this way. It could be up to 2 weeks. I have no idea. And this is how dumb I am. I moved all the stuff and got out the spare and got everything that I needed out before ever checking to see if I could actually loosen the lug nuts. And it turns out they were rusted on there, and could not move them. Jeffrey could not move them. We both took turns standing on the wrench to try and get it to go down, and I'm like, neither one of us are light people, so... But any human being, that's 100 pounds plus of pressure that you're putting on that thing, and it would not budge. We got the guy from the store that's downstairs from here, and he asked him to help, and he's nope. And I was like, okay, tell me this. Do you have an air pump that we can borrow that has a hose long enough to reach the car? If I pump the tire up, maybe I can get it, because the mechanic was just 3 blocks away, so maybe I can get it there. That was a very short yet very stressful drive.
I bet.
But who would have thought that the lug nuts would have been rusted? Nobody told me that you're supposed to take them off every year or so and spray them down with WD-40 or something. I didn't know that. Fucking know that.
Oh,
man.
man.
I'll change the shit out of the tire. I know how to do that, but I did not know I was supposed to lube those.
Our brakes were bad in our SUV, and we were fixing to, take a trip up to Branson and be driving around through all the mountainsides and stuff. So, a buddy of mine who does all of his own automotive work was like, well, yeah, bring it over here and I'll have Marcus, my oldest son, help me, and we'll change the brakes on it for you. So we took it over there, changed the brakes, put the tires back on and everything. We went on the trip up to Branson and kept hearing this weird rattle after a while, this on this one side. And you'd really only hear it if there was a mountain wall against you for it to echo off of, and then it would be gone again. And I was like, I looked all under the car. I couldn't figure out what it was. And then finally, after driving around for 4 days in the mountains, we finally are almost home. We're at the other end of our road where you turn at this little church. And all of a sudden, when we get to that red light, our one driver's side or passenger side tire starts going like crazy. And so we just made it into the parking lot and pulled over. Turns out Marcus forgot to tighten the lug nuts that he was supposed to tighten when they put the tire back on. And, that final last crank to make sure they're all on tight. So over the weekend, all of them just rattled off and had been rattling around in the hubcap for 4 days. And then the tire had worked its way just almost completely off the end of the lug nuts. And we ended up having to get all the lug nuts and everything replaced because they were all destroyed. And we
That
just almost died.
I was gonna say, how close to death were you? How close to a massive, horrifying car crash?
That
up
did happen
until
to one of
that
my friends.
red light, we had been doing 70 or 80 the whole way back from Branson, basically.
Oh my God.
No idea there was a problem at all until that last little bit, and it just got to the edge and started going.
Wow.
Yeah, my friend. That happened to one of my friends. She just had it got it back from the garage, and they'd be doing some work, and I don't know what they were doing, and she set off down one of the, I think she was on a motorway as well. The wheel fell off, and she was her and 4 dogs in the car, and they were all okay. But yeah, it's the wheel just came straight off, and it was the garage actually replaced it and fixed everything free because it was their fault. But it's
well, yeah, that's the problem. What am I going to do? Sue my best friend?
Yeah.
There wasn't nothing to do but just get it fixed. It was my kid that didn't tighten it. That's what I get for putting the ADD wonder on, tighten the tire. But I can't complain. I worked at a gas station and ran out of gas 8 times while I worked there. Sometimes driving into the parking lot, sometimes trying to drive out of the parking lot the next morning after my midnight shift. When I knew I had to get gas when I stopped, I made all kinds of notes around the store so I wouldn't forget, and then marched back out to my car and ran out of gas driving out the parking lot.
Oh, but notes, when you see them enough, they just blur into the background. You just
they
stop
just
seeing them.
become part of the landscape, and I completely forget they're there.
It's
I've
all
got
these people
stuff.
These people
Make a note!
you have ADHD. Use a planner. Make a note. It's I don't see the planner.
I
don't
have
see the
so
notes.
many planners, but you got to remember to write stuff in the planner, and then you got to remember to look in the planner. I've gotten in the habit of putting almost everything in my calendar, but I have to remember to look at the calendar to see if there's anything today, and I forget to do that part.
Thank you.
Me too.
I wish that I could make the ADHD people in my life understand that. It's yes, I can make a note. I can make 1,000 notes. Yes, I can set alarms. Yes, I can put it in my calendar, but I have to look at that.
I set so
They're
many
no
alarms
good to me if I don't remember
for
to see
everything. Me and Tony share a calendar for 5-Star Fridays, and he's like, "Bro, why do you have 6 alarms every Friday to tell you that the show's coming?" It's because I will forget we have a show on Friday if I don't have 4 notifications going off and alarms going off on Alexa. I have all this stuff going, boop, don't forget you have a show.
And we've been doing UHS Presents for 3 years now, and I will absolutely forget that. On Monday night, I'll be fully aware that it's Monday, but then it'll be 6:30, and I'll be oh shit, we have a thing. Oh, and just only usually because Katy messages me a half an hour before and says, "What's the show about tonight?" And they'll be "Oh yeah, we got one of those, don't we? Shit."
Oh yeah, I will completely forget until we get the message in our little group, what are we talking about tonight? I'm like, oh crap, it's Friday. Okay, my alarms haven't gone off yet. I'm good. All right, I got time to work, and then I'll forget again until the alarms go off. The weird thing is, my wife just found out she has ADHD too, because I've been sending her all these videos and stuff to try and help her understand some of the things I go through that I find on TikTok that explain it very well.
Oh no.
And it was obvious to me she had ADHD. I thought she knew. And after seeing all these videos, she talked to her doctor about it. She's like, "I've got ADHD." And I was like, "You didn't know this?" But
I thought you were going to say she was going to throw it back into your face that everybody does this, and you would have to explain to her that no, they don't.
No, she just thought, she couldn't figure it out. She just thought she couldn't, hadn't found the right planner, and just wasn't organized enough. And I was like, No, babe, this is all absolutely 100% like grade A. You know, this is straight out of the textbook ADHD, babe. Don't worry about it. Don't feel bad. But for some reason, she has no problem remembering to check my schedule. I can't remember to check my schedule, but every day she's like,
yeah, for other
it's
people,
lovely.
Yeah, it's so much easier to remember stuff for other people than it is to remember stuff for yourself. Like, so much.
You know, you got to see your shrink this morning. I was like, what the hell you say? It's been in your calendar. Like, dang, this is Wednesday, isn't it? Man, how'd that happen? She's like, well, yesterday was Tuesday. I was like, yeah, I knew that. I just didn't realize Wednesday was coming right after for some reason. I will be so excited for Four Tail Fridays, or Four Tails on Saturday, all day Friday. Like, I'm thinking about it all day. I'm thinking about what their guest is going to be. I'm excited to see the show because I just really enjoy it. I like watching Danny and Kyron pick on each other, and I really love it when somebody says something just completely ridiculous. Like, Danny asks them a question, they have no idea what to say, so they just ramble thinking they're going to get to a point eventually, and then they stop, and Danny's like, and you can see the look in his eyes, and I love it. That's my favorite part of the show. You can see that look in his eyes for a second. He's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, and then just goes on like it didn't happen. And I love that. I watch for that reason alone, and I'm looking forward to it all day Friday. I usually shout it out on the shows on Friday. Saturday mornings, I get up, I make my coffee, and I'm like, man, this is a great Monday. And I go to work and absolutely forget that it's Saturday every time.
I
don't feel
so
super
much.
bad about that because I always go to bed thinking that I'm going to watch Four Tails and then never remember. And then I'm watching it after the fact and I'm like, this is not nearly, it's just never as fun. I just, like I said it before and I'll say it again, it's just never as fun to watch a live stream when it's not live.
Yeah.
I'll still
It's
do
fun,
it,
and I know
so
we'll
much
still
more fun to
comment,
engage.
but it's not as much fun to comment when you know you can't, like, try and get a reaction out of them while you're doing it.
Yes, exactly.
You know?
And it's just, I don't know, and just even if I don't ever have the urge to comment, like I've gone through entire shows of yours where I've said hello to let you know that I was there, and then I play it, and then I say nothing the rest of it. But but it's just better to watch when it's live. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll still watch it when it's not live. To all of my friends that might ever hear me say this, I still watch your shows. I just don't watch them live because I'm dumb and I forget. Like, that's what happens.
It's not a lack of caring. It's not a lack of wanting to. It's just squirrel and we forget. And there's so many times that I'm like, okay, I need to do this important business thing because, like, I need to sign this next contract so I can get paid, so I can pay my rent. And I'm going to go into my email and I'm going to sign that contract. And I open my computer and I'm like, oh, there's a message from Katy. And I'm gone. Forget about it. I'm done for an hour. I'm all over the place. I'm looking through all of the tabs that are open, trying to figure out what I came in here to do. Mm-hmm. And I finally put it down and I'm like, it'll come to me. I'm like, oh, I need to sign that contract. Open it back up. Oh, Sarah messaged me, and I'm done. It's gone. Forget about it.
I do that all the time.
I'll be watching TV, a live stream, a regular, just a plain old TV show, whatever, and I have that triggers the thought of like, oh yeah, I've got to look that up, and I'll grab my phone, and if there is something on the screen, if I shut it off with Messenger open or something like that, it is a guarantee that I'm not going to remember why I unlocked that phone every time. Yeah.
And you just sat there with your phone like, what was he doing?
Yeah, I know I came here with a reason. I know I walked into this room for something, but like opening the phone, turning on the computer, I think it's just like walking through a door, and it has an actual like psychological effect on us where it's like, okay, this is a new thing, and your brain just kind of starts over, and it's not our fault that we forget what we came in here looking for.
I keep referring to it as a Gaussian loop, and like walking through a doorway, Gaussian loop, it erased my memory. Picking up my phone, Gaussian loop, forgot, I erased my memory. Just, we don't even have a door to the kitchen because this is like a fucking one of them bullshit apartments that the kitchen and the living room are the same thing. And it's like there's no, but I can be on the couch 10 feet away from the kitchen and go, oh, I got to do this thing that requires me to walk into the kitchen. And as soon as I cross the threshold...
I can see the thing from here.
Yes!
But I walk through the mental threshold of where it is.
How
and
obnoxious.
bloop, and you're like, oh, here's the kitchen. What was I coming in here for? Oh,
God forbid there be a cat in between where I'm trying to go and where I currently am, because if I like, oh, kitty, pet the kitty, and then like, what was I doing? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a bunch of cats here, so like that is a very high probability that will happen. I got a bunch of
that's
cats.
not really setting yourself up for success.
No, and I did
like,
it to myself.
I know there's a problem, but more cats.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, technically all but like 2 of them are foster fails, but I still did it to myself.
Yeah.
People just kept leaving cats on your doorstep, didn't they? At some places.
Yes.
Didn't you get some left in your garage?
Unless anybody who just heard Katie say that think that is a joke. That is not a joke. That is 100% real. Somebody left 2 kitties in my garage, and me and the neighbor took care of them until one of them accidentally got squished, and then the other one. This was the saddest fucking thing ever. He was the shyer one of the 2, and after he was all alone, I came home late and it was raining and it was cold and shitty out, and I come tromping up my patio steps, my porch steps, and he is sitting on the top step, but still in the rain because he didn't want to be on the porch without permission. And he's like shivering in the rain, and he's looking at me, and he's just, wow. And I was like, okay, fine, but only for tonight. And he's the idiot that's in the box on the table over there. So.
That's always the way.
Yeah, and then one time, 4th of July it was, guy put a harness on a cat, so it's not like he tied a string around its neck. He did have a harness on the cat, and I find out who the person was. That's why I know it's a guy. Tied a string onto the harness, tied the other end of the string to my porch rail, my stair rail, and just left her there. No water, no food, no nothing. Oh, wait, no, there was food. There was a bucket with some food in it, and it had a $20 bill taped to it. And it's like, I can't have this cat anymore. Please take care of it for me. And I was like, dude, you didn't know it was like 100 degrees that day. You didn't know when I was coming back. I didn't know when I was coming back, and it was just like pure luck that cat did not die of heat stroke or something. I mean, cats are little; they can't handle that stuff.
No. But I mean, I suppose in some ways it's better than just dumping it in a wood somewhere.
Yeah, that is very fair. And she absolutely would have died because she's very stupid.
Pillowcase in the creek or like.
Oh yeah, people who I am happy that that's not a thing that happens much anymore. But
I've grown up country, and like I know a lot of people that just use them as target practice. And
I've heard. And
they're like, isn't it funny? And I'm like, dude.
No, it's really not.
It's not.
Why is it funny to kill another living thing and believe that you have the right to do so? It's not funny.
Yeah. For fun,
no reason,
less.
Yeah.
Like you can have a whole lot of fun with a bunch of day after Christmas glass ornaments and just hang them in the trees on your property. They're a hell of a lot of fun to shoot. And they go when you hit them. And it's fun, and they're cheap. And it's not shooting a cat. And, they don't stink after, there's so many positives to cheap Christmas balls. And, or empty milk jugs full of water is so much fun to shoot if you want to shoot something and get a reaction.
Exactly.
Apples.
It's not funny.
They explode.
Oh my god, apples explode and then you can watch the bugs come and watch the ants try and take away a piece of apple that's clearly too big for them to take, but they're gonna try and do it anyway, and that's hilarious too. Come on. And yeah, I know of stories like that too. There's a story. Do you know? I'm not going to tell you because it's really horrible. I'm not going to tell you.
I appreciate that.
On here.
I will tell you my favorite shooting story because it's wholesome and happy. And I could not sleep one night, and I was scrolling deep in Dish Network, deep down the rabbit hole of the crazy back channels.
You just dated yourself there.
Oh yeah,
Dish Network.
I don't even know what that is. So.
It's satellite TV, and I was way, way, way up in the 500 channels. I was way down in there, and I found a show all about air guns, and I didn't even know there was enough interest in air gun. I didn't know they have like hunting air guns and stuff. There's like pellet guns that go up to 22 caliber and
we
like
had
really pack a
rifle.
yeah. And I didn't even know that was a thing. But I do have a BB gun that I had gotten for fun, just for target practice and stuff, blow off steam after work and whatnot. And this dude set up targets in his backyard using the little plastic miniature animals that you get for like $1 at Walmart or whatever. You get a whole bag of them. And I was like, okay, wait a second. So I went and got a bag. They are so much freaking fun to shoot. And from like 30, 40 feet away, trying to shoot a plastic antelope that's that big is like, trying to shoot one on the Serengeti from a mile away. And like, if you can do that with a crappy BB gun that every third shot goes, it feels like a hell of an accomplishment. It was so much fun. It became like my full-time hobby for like 3 months one summer, until the point to where I had to teach myself how to start shooting left-handed with this crappy $12 BB gun from Walmart, just to make it a challenge again, because it was too easy to peg these things in the distance of my very, very long backyard that I had. Like, I had to account for the drop of this BB, and I was still nailing zebras from across the yard. So I had to teach myself to shoot left-handed. But it was so much fun. And I'm on safari every day, and nobody's getting hurt. Maybe the plastic zebra lost an ear. But he gets up and takes it like a champ, and he's ready to go again, and nobody's calling PETA. I was a happy man. It was a lot of fun.
That's an excellent alternative.
It was so much fun.
I have we used to have an air rifle, which I used to just, shoot apples with, but we have I do archery, and honestly the fun, I had to go to archery club, and it's fine shooting the targets, but the best fun was when we went to one of these castles that had an open day, and they had a have a go at archery thing. And I'm not joking, they'd made like a wooden castle with like holes in it that had mannequin heads behind it that you aimed for the mannequin heads with these like rubber tip. They were rubber tipped arrows. You couldn't puncture them, but like it was so much fun because they were like balanced on top of pedestals behind it or in the holes, and you had to shoot these heads off with these really heavy arrows that dropped really quickly because they were really quite weighted as well.
Oh wow!
When I see those LARPers out there playing and shooting big foam tipped arrows at each other, I'm like, oh god. What I would do if I could get out there without my crutches, I would lay waste with those things. Oh my!
I have an experience of actually shooting someone with a rubber tipped arrow because we were at Lanark Medieval Festival, and
God, I love you so much.
Well,
just having the story, that's enough.
The guy,
tell.
Yeah. He basically had set himself up with like a great helm on, like to protect his head, and he had a buckler over his groin. And every damn time, I wasn't aiming for it, but I hit the buckler. And I actually managed to somehow get one of the arrows between the buckler and his body, which I think must have hurt him a bit. But it's just the way that, like, I mean, there must have been hundreds of people that day doing this. And anyway, I went off, and then I went back the next year, and I went up to the thing, and he immediately saw me, and he's like, "No, not her, not her."
No. Yeah.
Oh no. Oh, so like we've been telling these stories, and I think like 3 times now, I've seen Jeffrey walk by, and very pointedly walk past again with a popsicle in his hand. I think he's just trying to satiate himself with popsicles. So. I'm looking at the 2 hours, 2.5 hours that we've been here dicking around and thinking,
you're welcome.
We should stop.
But look at the hands.
This is why I'm always so rude with Sarah after the show, because we will just keep talking forever.
Every time.
So eventually, at some point, I'm just like, okay, I love you, goodbye, and hang up, because I know after the 5th time we've said goodbye in an hour, like, I'm still going to be sitting here at midnight with my wife sound asleep in the bed, and we're going to be like, okay, well, we need to get off. Oh, but did I tell you about?
Ideas.
Yeah.
Some
Like,
of it-
usually, I don't even have people asleep beside me to actually stop me, apart from the dog, and he doesn't care. So yeah, so this is how far I've got today. Not massively far, but you know.
Oh, but the
look at
work
those-
you've done
look at
in
those
that.
amazing fists, though. Those-
Oh my god,
and
those.
in the belt, it looks great.
Oh my god, I
mean,
cannot.
yeah, the rest of it looks shitty in
wait.
comparison now, but like before you did that, the rest of it looked great too. And now
We didn't realize
this
we were
looked
looking at a
great.
turd until you polished that section so well.
Yeah,
And now-
exactly.
Now we want to see all the glassy, smooth surface on everything. Oh,
So
Man.
can we expect that next week you'll work on this more on the show, or are you gonna work on it again a little bit off screen, or what are you gonna
If
do?
I just
with
work
this?
on this on the show, I am going to be here until like.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
But we might
Understandably.
come back to
So
it.
maybe there
Yeah.
will be more Caw next week, but maybe there will be something new.
Maybe
We'll
there'll be a
wait.
finished
I let
picture to
Katy
show.
figure that out. I'm not gonna help Katy. I'm making
Oh.
Katy take care of that herself. So
God,
Yeah.
that looks so amazing.
let's do it.
Oh.
It's so good. It's so
Oh,
good. Those-
thank you.
look at the veins on the back of the hand. That's
Oh, man.
God.
I'm telling you.
Save.
He's turned into a sexy beast.
Katy saves.
Yay! And you watch my.
Achievement unlocked.
She shoots. She scores.
There's so many times I have penciled and inked and lettered and colored a page and output the final file, and then I go to close it and it's like, do you want to save this? And it's still like, it's still got my 000 tag on there for my base page that I opened before I save it as like page 3 or 4 or 5. And I'm like, yeah, I think I will. I think I'll go ahead. I'm going to go nuts. I'm going to go ahead and save that before I have to redraw it. Yeah.
Awesome.
I
Okay,
was
well, yeah.
thinking about putting some of those like alien guys, but I need to like have reference of the back of their heads. So you'll have to send me
Alright.
that at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
can send
so-
you the
yeah,
whole book. Now it's all finished. When you started, the book wasn't 100% finished. Now it is, and it's at the printer. But so yeah, I can send that to
Yeah.
you.
Well, yeah. So we'll
That's because
see
you
what...
work way faster than I do.
He works way faster.
I don't do
than
that kind of
everybody.
detail.
See, the only person that we know of that works at least as fast is D, and that's why we have to have this fish.
D
off
brings the
here.
smoke. I'm here to
So-
tell you, like, D's the only person I'm like legitimately concerned about facing off against. I've never seen anybody work as fast as me before.
And like, it's obviously not real. Like, we're not firing anybody. We're not canceling anybody who's slower. Like, but like, cause I'm excited to see the different iterations, and we should probably work out all the details of what we're gonna do, cause that's like 2 weeks away now. But it's gonna be so fun to watch.
We've all got
and
ADHD. We all know that you're just going to arrange the details like the night before.
Well, I mean, obviously.
like, okay, the show's in a half hour, so I thought we might. Like, okay, sure.
Yeah,
whatever.
I also have to give you the link to. It just made me think now that I have to give you the link to the Dropbox that you can drop your stuff in, because there's there's other prep work that needed that. Well, Fish actually had the idea. Y'all see it like in a week, so don't worry about it. But anyway, we're gonna go now because I want Jeffrey to stop eating popsicles before he gets diabetes. And
It ain't as much fun as it sounds, Jeffrey.
nah, no, it's not. And Katy should go to bed, and Fish probably wants to have supper. I don't know what you're doing rest of the night.
I do
so-
indeed want to eat dinner.
Yeah, so, and we've been on here for literally 2.5 hours now, so we should go. Everybody have
that's
a
a record.
wonderful rest of your week. Tune into 5-Star Fridays on Agents of Geekdom. This is not Agents of Geekdom, but do that. And then, like, next week, we're having, I forget their name, but there's going to be a new comic book indie creator that I actually have never met before, so I'm really excited to talk to her about her new book. And then Katy,
Tomorrow
what Katy
morning,
draws.
School of Fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What Katy draws Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, School of Fish.
11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Is
For
that
now, like I'm gonna be moving the Thursday show to Patreon, but it's gonna stay on Tuesdays, so you can catch me
Okay,
there.
there we
free
go.
and live.
And that's gonna be mostly most of that stuff that I just said is Agents of Geekdom, except for what Katy draws, which is still currently on UH Studios. So have a wonderful rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see you like Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You know, just
Yeah, we'll see you the rest of the week.
Geekdom,
We'll
there's
be
shit on there all
here.
the time. Just do it. All right. So, bye.
Bye.